Chapter 547. When the power of the killing formation weakened and the spiritual energy cannon of the dragon boat finally landed on the ghost ship, the faceless man was furious. As he stepped in the air, a huge shell illuminated the sky. But the shell was completely different from the shells ordinary people saw. Rather than calling it a shell, it would be more accurate to call it a large axe. It swept up a fierce gale as it descended from the sky. In Han Fei's eyes, data appeared. Name, God-slaying clam. Qiu Lai's spiritual beast. Introduction, the bloodline of the sky-splitting clam. An ancient fierce spirit. Its sharpness can cut mountains and seas. Its hard armor can't be penetrated by any divine weapon. It has unparalleled defensive and offensive abilities and inherited the sky-splitting combat skill. Level: quality, legendary, food, omnivorous, combat skill. Contains soul power. He has a legendary spiritual beast? Han Fei was stunned. Is a legendary spiritual beast so worthless? How many have I seen so far? Besides, this was just the introduction of the god-slaying clam, but it sounded like a legendary spiritual beast. As soon as the clam appeared, the hidden fisher was directly pressed into the water from the sky. He crossed his swords, trying to resist. However, the faceless man roared, "I said I'd kill you, so I'll kill you. You're just a hidden fisher." Stop. In the sky, a figure fell, but the axe had already chopped down, and the raging waves soared to the sky. The momentum and the remaining power shook the ground tens of thousands of meters, and a monstrous tsunami broke out. The other party's hidden fisher was dead. "Faceless, you've gone too far." A gray-haired old man appeared on the raging waves, pointing at the faceless man angrily. The faceless man laughed and said, "You should know me. The ghost ship works for money and is honest to all. Whoever dares to offend me, I'll kill him." Han Fei and the others couldn't help but swallow. His words were so king domineering, as if he was not afraid of anything. The ghost ship was shaking at this moment, and there were dozens of big holes in the hull, but surprisingly, it didn't sink. The hanging fishers had already retreated, looking horrified at the moment. They were just guarding the dragon boat, but they didn't know much about the ghost ship. Their predecessors had only warned them not to clash with Spectre's ship, but no one had expected the owner of Spectre's ship to be so powerful. A hidden fisher. He was killed just like that. "Welcome, Lord Enforcer." At that moment, the fishing boats outside that had been hesitant ran back crazily. The hidden fisher was killed, and the law enforcers were here. How could they live like this? How did he end up participating in the battle between the dragon boats and the Spectre? The moment the law enforcer landed, instead of fighting, he said to the hanging fishers, "Let's go." Those hanging fishers even suspected that their ears were damaged. The Spectre ship committed a crime on the spot, but the law enforcers didn't care. However, how dare these ordinary hanging fishers disobey the will of a law enforcer? He immediately retreated. In fact, even if the law enforcers didn't say anything, they would still retreat. The reason why they followed the hidden fisher to attack the ship this time was, of course, not because of the 5 of them. They were just an excuse for the dragon boats to attack the ghost ship. It was just that no one expected that the owner of the ghost ship was so powerful that he could kill a hidden fisher with an axe. Who the hell could continue to fight? When the dragon boats retreated, the sea was still turbulent, and there was still half of the 15 minutes left. In other words, this seemingly crazy battle actually lasted only a quarter of an hour. On the waves, the law enforcer glanced at the 5 of them and then looked at Faceless. "The ghost ship has killed too many people. Even if I don't take action, someone else will." Faceless smiled disdainfully and said, "Killed too many people? Our ghost ship only takes action once every few decades, and the number of casualties is no more than 1,000. Those who practice in the fishery every day have killed themselves. You're telling me that you've killed too many people?" The law enforcer narrowed his eyes. "Different in nature." Faceless waved his hand impatiently. "What do you mean different in nature? I think it's the same. Are you going to fight or not? If you don't, I'll withdraw my troops. I still have to repair the ship." The law enforcer said lightly, "Faceless, you killed a hidden fisher guarding the level 3 fishery. You have to give us an explanation. Bah, bullsh asterisk T. Just tell those be asterisk stars in the 1,000-star city that I killed him. If they are unhappy and want to retaliate, just come. I'll take it. Kill me if you dare. If you can't, I'll make the 1,000-star city decline for 20 years. Do you believe me? The old law enforcer was not annoyed, but just smiled faintly. This is also an explanation. I'll go back and report to my superiors. But don't do it again. You know, there are not many people who are really afraid of you. Faceless. You know what they are afraid of? Humph. Faceless snorted coldly, not even looking at the old law enforcer. The law enforcer was also very sensible, as if the death of a hidden fisher was not a big deal to him. He didn't even pick up the body, but walked away with his hands behind his back. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. That's AF asterisk King law enforcer. You're running your mouth off with him. Are you that awesome? In the sky, the bright moonlight essence was still shining on the array, making the brilliance in the array more and more intense. Faceless landed on the boat and glanced at Han Fei and the others. How is it? Is it very powerful? Everyone, Luo Xiaobai asked. So, Senior, who are you exactly? You chose to save us and are so hostile to the 1,000-star city. I think you're not from the 1,000-star city, so it has nothing to do with my family. So, it should have something to do with their background. But as far as I know, Han Fei and the others have not lived a complicated life since childhood. They shouldn't have an elder like you, so... Senior, are you related to the Thug Academy? Faceless glanced at Luo Xiaobai and shouted, Guess, guess, guess. Luo Xiaobai shrugged. Okay, I already know the result. So you are Senior Uncle? Han Fei was speechless. Xiaobai, how can you guess this? Luo Xiaobai nodded. You take care of us so much, and I heard that the Thug Academy is so strong. Isn't it clear enough? Han Fei curled his lips and said, If you were our senior uncle, would you ask us for money? Han Fei and Luo Xiaobai echoed each other, and the Faceless snorted coldly. What's wrong with senior uncle? Can't senior uncle ask for money? Don't you need to eat? Zhang Xuanyu and the others hurriedly exclaimed, Is it really senior uncle? Liren Kuang said, Greetings, senior uncle. Xia Xiaochan said, Hello, senior uncle. The Faceless snorted and didn't deny it. However, he said, Money has nothing to do with you. My specter has suffered a lot of damage and needs to be repaired with 5 billion yuan. Maybe it's not enough. Han Fei was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. What the F asterisk CK? Repairing the ship with 5 billion yuan is not enough. I've checked it. The dozens of holes are all ordinary spirit-level materials, which are abundant in the level 3 fishery. Han Fei asked, What about the spirit awakening fluid? What about the soul crystals? The Faceless waved his hand and said, No, none of them. I've already given you a lot of benefits. You still want to cheat me of the spirit awakening fluid? You wish. Liren Kuang scratched his belly. Senior uncle, didn't we buy it? The Faceless sneered. You could try to buy the spirit awakening fluid. Let's see who will sell it to you. Zhang Xuanyu said, Senior uncle, why don't you sell some more? F asterisk CK off. Luo Xiaobai asked, Senior uncle, why are you in the level 3 fishery? Why do you control the specter? And why do you wear a mask? The Faceless man said angrily, You little girl, why do you have so many questions? Luo Xiaobai was stunned by his roar and was a little at a loss. Xia Xiaochan roared, Senior uncle, what are you roaring for? Is your voice loud? Han Fei was speechless. These people are really stupid. Knowing that I'm one of them, they started to yell at me. The Faceless man was speechless by Xia Xiaochan's retort. What kind of F asterisk king student is she? The Faceless man sighed. It's getting harder and harder to teach students these days. You don't need to know why I'm in the level 3 fishery. It's impossible for me to return the money to you. But I would like to meet you guys. The Faceless man stretched out his hand and waved, and a mist of light covered them. When he took off the mask, the 5 of them all gasped. Wow. Luo Xiaobai and Xia Xiaochan almost took a step back subconsciously. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Senior uncle, are you shameless? In front of everyone, there was really a Faceless man. His face seemed to have been cut by a knife. His whole face had no eyes, no eyebrows, no nose. There was only a slit in his mouth, which seemed to have been cut by a knife. The faceless man snorted and immediately put on the mask. The reason why I took it off for you is to tell you that the future is very dangerous and the enemy is very strong. The future is very dangerous and the enemy is very strong. You should cherish this opportunity. Chapter 548. He would be lying if he said he wasn't shocked. The strength that Junior Uncle Faceless displayed just now was boundlessly strong. Han Fei even felt that if this Junior Uncle Faceless fought with Xiao Zhan might not be able to beat him. Xiao Zhan had never launched such a strong attack before. The axe cleaved through the seawater. Han Fei smiled. Junior Uncle, it's nothing. I have 1,000 faces technique. Do you want it? You can change your face to whatever you want. With that said, Han Fei threw a jade slip over. Junior Uncle Faceless took it and was stunned. Demon level, divine quality? Didn't you buy a mysterious level disguise technique last time? How did it become a demon level divine quality one? Han Fei smiled. I happened to pick it up. Come on, you could try it again. It's a coincidence. However, the faceless man threw the jade slip back to Han Fei and said, it's useless. A heaven-level divine quality, one may be useful, but a demon-level divine quality, one is useless. Han Fei said slyly, Junior Uncle, it's fine if you don't want it. This is the first time we meet. Should I give you a gift? F***CK off. Junior Uncle Faceless waved his hand and pushed the 5 of them into the big array. Junior Uncle Faceless said, money is a bad thing. It can easily corrupt people. You don't need it now. Also, don't wear an ultra-quality battle suit all day. It's dazzling. At this moment, the big array seemed to have been activated, and everyone felt that their vision was a little blurred. In the end, everyone only heard her say, Han Fei, I just read your fortune again. Something is wrong. Your love tribulation is not over yet. You have to be careful and prepare some trump cards for yourself. Han Fei's face suddenly changed. Junior Uncle, don't slander me. What? Alas. Xiao, don't move. Blue Sea Town. The level 2 fishery. In the night, a bright beam of light in the sky suddenly smashed into the sea. After a while, 5 heads emerged from the sea. Han Fei was speechless. Huh? Is it a teleportation error? Why are we still at sea? Xiao had already slashed out with a shadowless knife, and a dragonhead fish was cut in half. Dragonhead fish, this is the level 2 fishery. After a while, the 5 of them lay on the fishing boat, and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp lay on the top of the fishing boat, pulling the 9-star chain casually in the seawater, preventing those stupid creatures from climbing onto the fishing boat. Different from the creatures in the level 3 fishery, the creatures in the level 2 fishery were very stupid and had no intelligence at all. However, they always felt that they were particularly fierce and wanted to attack anyone they saw. So Han Fei could only ask Shrimp Retian to protect them, and the 5 of them ate hot pot in the cabin. The hexagon starfish suddenly said, Can I just stay here? Lurin Kwong said, Huh? Senpai Hexagon, it would be great if you could come with us. The level 2 fishery is so boring. Xiao asked, Big Starfish, why do you always want to escape? Holding a jar of wine, the hexagon starfish rolled its big eyes randomly, as if it had suddenly collapsed. It wailed in the language of starfish. It's too dangerous to follow you. Every time you guys fight, my brain feels like it's going to jump out. Starfish don't fight. Starfish can just find a small secret realm if they want to. Han Fei patted the deck, and the hexagon starfish's tentacles trembled in fright. Han Fei said, Dangerous? Dangerous? Didn't you lose a tentacle or something? You want to stay, don't you? Come on, I'll cut off one of your tentacles. Isn't it said that starfish only need 1 tentacle to grow a new starfish? Let the hexagon starfish stay here, and you come with us. The hexagon starfish immediately shrank its 6 tentacles. Who told you that? That's an ordinary starfish. It can give birth to new starfish with its tentacles. Starfish like us can't lose even 1 tentacle. Besides, This sea area doesn't have the ability to breed a second hexagon starfish. Han Fei grinned. That's it. Don't talk nonsense. You can eat and drink whatever you want. What else do you want? Threatened by Han Fei, the hexagon starfish suddenly stopped talking, only full of feelings. Starfish, 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 starfish. Why did starfish meet this terrible human being? After a hearty meal, Zhang Xuanyu asked, "When are you going back to school?" Han Fei asked back. Everyone looked to Han Fei, and Luren Kuang said, "No, why not?" Han Fei said leisurely, "You see, we've been working hard in the level 3 fishery for 8 or 9 months, right? There are still more than 2 months to go before the 1-year deadline. How about we play for 2 months?" Xia Xiaochan immediately asked curiously, "Play what?" Han Fei said, "Oh, just rest for 2 months, floating on the sea every day, occasionally basking in the sun, fishing, eating hot pot, and relaxing. What do you think?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "I'll go back to school." Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Can I go home?" Everyone was surprised, and Luren Kuang said, "Didn't you float back from another town? How do you go back?" Zhang Xuanyu shrugged. "I float back the way I came here." Han Fei nodded. "We'll go with you. We can also see what other villages are like." Zhang Xuanyu shook his head. "I'll go back alone to deal with something." Luo Xiaobai said no. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, "Why not?" Luo Xiaobai glanced at him. "You can't cross the no man's land. I don't know how you floated here and how the president brought you back, but you can't do it alone. Either someone goes with you, or go back to school and then go." Zhang Xuanyu, Luren Kuang shook his head. "No, I won't lie in the sun, sleep, and eat hot pot." Han Fei was about to speak when Xia Xiaochan pinched him. Forget it. I'll go home too." Xia Xiaochan said, "I'll go with Han Fei." Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time, and then reluctantly looked at Luo Xiaobai. "Will you go back with me?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." The next day, Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai left on a ghost-speed divine boat. Han Fei looked at Xia Xiaochan and said, "Why don't we go and have a look?" Before Xia Xiaochan spoke, Luren Kuang said, "Are you stupid? Why did Zhang Xuanyu float here from another town alone? There must be a reason. Since he said he wanted to be alone this time, there must be something he doesn't want us to see." Xia Xiaochan nodded. "Yes. Besides, Xiaobai is from a big family in the Thousand-Star City. He's not afraid at all. You can't help him." Han Fei was speechless. Humph. Nonsense. Han Fei was speechless when he saw Lu Rinquang humming a strange accent while setting up the hot pot. This guy was a King pig. He had just had 2 meals last night, and now he was having a 3rd meal. Han Fei said, "Master Fatty, you can eat here. If you're full, go back to school by yourself." Lu Rinquang was taken aback. "Wait, are you going too? Didn't you say you wanted to bask in the sun and eat hot pot?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. "I said I was joking. I need to calm down. I need to empty myself." Xia Xiaochan said, "Kuang Kuang, go back by yourself after eating." When she was about to leave, Xia Xiaochan pulled Master Hexagon Starfish off Han Fei's shoulder and threw it to Lu Rinquang. "Take the big starfish back with you. Otherwise, I'll deal with you." Lu Rinquang. On the way to the Heavenly Water Village, Han Fei asked, "Xia Xiaochan, where is your home?" Xia Xiaochan tilted her head and said, "I don't know." Han Fei was helpless. "Is there no one in your family?" Xia Xiaochan thought for a while and said, "I have a grandmother, but she is gone." Han Fei was taken aback. "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss." Ba. Don't be sad. My grandmother is not dead. She just left." Han Fei asked in surprise. "Left? Where did she go?" Xia Xiaochan shook her head. "I don't know. She seems to have gone to a place far, far away. She said that one day, when I can defeat a man with wings, I might be able to find her." Puff. Han Fei asked in astonishment. "A hidden fisher?" Xia Xiaochan nodded. "Yes. I didn't know it until later." Han Fei couldn't help but wonder. It seemed that Xia Xiaochan's origin was also very extraordinary. Luo Xiaobai was only from the Thousand-Star City, so she should be above his head. Xia Xiaochan was not above his head, and he had to defeat a hidden fisher to find her. How long would it take? Xia Xiaochan asked, "What about you?" Didn't you say that there was no one at home? Han Fei said with a smile, "There is no one at home, but I still have a mansion and fertile land at home." Xia Xiaochan nodded. "But why don't we go back to school directly?" Han Fei said with a headache, "I have a hunch that something will happen as soon as we go back to school. We haven't reached the deadline yet. We have to take the time to relax and calm down. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't have a chance later." "Hey, okay. Anyway, I have nowhere to go. Let's go and see what your parents are like." "Okay." The fishing boat drew a beautiful arc in the sky, gradually disappearing in the colorful clouds and the early morning glow. Latest chapter of Fishing God. Full text of Fishing God. /87199 / download address of Fishing God. /87199 / mobile reading address of Fishing God. /87199 / for the convenience of reading next time, you can click collect on the right to record this time, chapter 548. Do you want to play for 2 months? Read the record. You can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Fishing God, please recommend Green Bean to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 549. Welcome the new leader, Qingyin Xiaoguan, added a chapter. He could never get enough of the scenery on Levitating Island. When he got up in the morning, the sun shrouded the ocean, the golden red light poured between the clouds, and countless fishermen went out to sea to fish. This was a magnificent scene, full of life. In the plantation, Han Fei opened his eyes from cultivation. When the first ray of dawn shone, the spiritual energy in the entire plantation would riot. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered and spread in the plantation. Han Fei's body ignited with flames. However, a ball of water immediately enveloped him until the flames were extinguished. Han Fei stopped cultivating and looked up at the rising sun. This was the 10th time he had tried to absorb the spiritual energy in the sun. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it every time. But Han Fei was sure that the sun seemed to contain not only spiritual energy, but also mysterious energy that was more violent than spiritual energy, which could gather spiritual energy in an instant. If he was careless, he might be burned by the sky fire. Han Fei had never understood why there were no birds or beasts on the floating island. This place was not small, and there were a large number of rock nests on the floating island, which should be enough for hundreds of millions of birds to live in, right? Ring, ring. Just when Han Fei was pondering, Xia Xiaochan, dressed in beautiful clothes, came to the center of the plantation at the end of the path. Since Han Fei left the heavenly water village, the people of the fish dragons had not been idle at all. The training ground used by Han Fei and Jiangqin had been polished, paved with blue stones, and a path leading to the gate of the plantation had been opened. Xia Xiaochan said to Han Fei with sleepy eyes, "I want to eat pot stickers." Han Fei stretched his body and said, "You can make it yourself. Didn't I teach you how to make it?" Xia Xiaochan hummed and said lazily, "No, it's not as delicious as yours." After a moment, on the wooden table at the gate of the plantation, Han Fei carried 4 large plates of pot stickers, 2 for each of them. This was the benefit of cultivation. If cultivators wanted to eat, they could eat as much as they wanted. They could eat from morning to night without worrying about getting fat. Han Fei picked up a pot sticker and dipped it into the vinegar on the plate. "Today, we're going to the school next door to mobilize the teachers and students. Do you think we should prepare some gifts or something?" Xia Xiaochan was stuffing pot stickers into her mouth, not caring about her image at all. She raised her head and said to Han Fei, "Can you send a few fish or a few crabs, lobsters, or something?" Han Fei asked in surprise, "Isn't it too cheap? Don't we still have more than 600 battle techniques? I think we can just throw 100 books here. What do you think?" Xia Xiaochan shook her head. Among those combat skills and techniques, the lowest level is the spiritual level, which they can't use at all. If you want to put up books, then put up 10 or so books as a reward for outstanding students in the future. Han Fei nodded solemnly. Sounds reasonable. The situation of the Heavenly Water Village had changed slightly. It turned out that there were 4 schools in the east, west, south, north, and south, but now there was another one next to the plantation. The name of this school was Fish Dragon Central Primary School, which was a casual name given by Han Fei. At first, Han Fei only planned to let some of the children of the fish dragons study in it. In the future, when they grew up, they could continue to fill in the blood of the fish dragons. It wouldn't be like the Blue Sea town, where a large number of outsiders were hired to manage gang affairs. In Han Fei's words, this was called sustainable development. Although he didn't intend to spend time on the fish dragons, it was easy for him to put forward some constructive suggestions. Later, he found that the strength and talent of the children attending classes in the Fish Dragon Central Primary School were generally higher because of the rich supply of resources here. It could be described in 3 words, and that was not short of money. As a result, many people in the Heavenly Water Village wanted to send their children here. Because of this, many people scrambled to join the Fish Dragons, which made the Fish Dragons expand again and forced to become the largest gang in the history of the Heavenly Water Village. Because the tradition of the Fish Dragons was not to bully the people and drive the sustainable economic development of the village. Therefore, now all the famous people in the village had to register with the Fish Dragons. For example, at this moment, in the office of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei's teacher, Wang Jie, was invited by the gang to serve as the honorary principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. Originally, the position of principal should have belonged to the old village leader. However, the village leader refused, saying that he was the head of a village after all, and it would be inappropriate for him to be the principal of school. Because He Xiaoyu used to have a good relationship with Han Fei, He Mingtang was inexplicably invited to serve as the vice principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. At this moment, Han Fei came over with several caddies of pot stickers and greeted Wang Jie and He Mingtang. "Teacher, good morning." Wang Jie had never thought that Han Fei would become one of the best students he had ever had. When he saw Han Fei again, he sighed with emotion. As for the other student, Tang Ge, he thought he might not be able to see him anymore. After entering the Thousand-Star City, how could he have a chance to come back? Wang Jie joked, "I asked you to come here to motivate the students, but you didn't come until you had dinner at home. It's already time for class." Han Fei smiled and said, "You have to eat. Here, I brought some for you and Mr. He." Wang Jie took the pot stickers without hesitation, grabbed one, stuffed it in his mouth, and then handed it to He Mingtang. "Old He, have some." He Mingtang got up, grabbed a pot sticker, and stuffed it into his mouth. He glanced at Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan next to him. "Han Fei, you two have stayed in the village for almost a month instead of going back to the town. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the teachers?" Han Fei said with a smile, "Our trial is not over yet. When we left, we said it would be a year, but we're still half a month late." He Mingtang took a deep look at Han Fei. "Young man, restrain yourself. The more outstanding you are, the more you can't slack off. Are you two going to get married?" "Pooh, cough, cough." Xia Xiaochan blushed. After getting married, she would have children. She didn't dare to think about it at all. Han Fei was embarrassed. "How can I get married? How old am I?" Han Fei hurriedly said, "No, I don't. It's a good time for us to cultivate and study. We still have to go to the unknown place in the future. It's too early to get married." The unknown place. Wang Jie and He Mingtang looked serious. That's a dangerous place. They didn't know where the unknown place was, and what it looked like. They didn't know what the level 3 fishery was like either. Even He Mingtang was only a peak-level fishing master and hadn't become a great fishing master yet. How could he know so much? But that was one thing. They had all heard of the rumors of the unknown place. In their ears, they had never heard that one could come back from the unknown place after going there. He Mingtang sighed with emotion. How long has it been? In less than 4 years, Han Fei, who he thought was not promising, had become a genius who could go to the level 3 fishery. Yes, in He Mingtang's view, anyone who could go to the level 3 fishery was already a genius. During this period of time, his daughter had been working hard to reach the point where she could be both a battle soul master and a hunter. At this moment, she could be regarded as an influential figure in the first academy of the Blue Sea town. However, she could only go to the level 2 fishery to cultivate. It would take at least 2 years for her to go to the level 3 fishery. The mobilization meeting was actually very simple. Most of the students here were members of the fish dragons, and all of them were full of admiration for Han Fei. They felt that it was extremely remarkable that Han Fei could single-handedly wipe out the former tigers, establish the fish dragons, and lead the fish dragons to prosperity. Han Fei made some nonsensical remarks. He talked about studying hard, making progress every day, and striving to enter the Blue Sea town. Li Qing had been following Han Fei. Until now, he still felt that it was a very wise choice to betray the tigers and follow Han Fei. Han Fei said in front of all the teachers and students, "Everyone, listen up. From now on, all cultivation resources will be doubled. Any student of this school who becomes a fishing master will be given a weapon and a fishing rod. Whoever becomes a great fishing master will be given a low-quality spiritual weapon and a spiritual fruit. Good luck." "Huh. Thank you, leader. Leader, you're so powerful. Help me, I love you." Leader, Wang Jie and the others clicked their tongues. "This is King Rich." Wang Jie elbowed He Mingtang. "Old He, why didn't you keep an eye on this kid? If he becomes Xiaoyu's girlfriend, he will be a member of our family." He Mingtang sighed. Who knew that this kid would be so outstanding later? "However, I won't force him. I told Xiaoyu not to force him either. After all, not everyone can follow Han Fei's path. I heard that Han Fei killed a hanging fisher in the level 3 fishery. Even if Xiaoyu can follow him, do you think it will be a blessing or a curse?" Wang Jie was shocked. "Really, fake? This is not a joke." He Mingtang sighed. Xiaoyu told her that it was Xiang Zuozhua, a heavenly talent from the Blue Sea town. The news is absolutely true. Wang Jie was stunned for a long time. "What are you afraid of? Look, isn't he fine now?" Chapter 550. After leaving the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei asked Xia Xiaochan to go to sea. The village leader said he would come to visit in the evening, so Han Fei planned to go to the fishery to get some seafood. After all, the ordinary creatures in Forge the Universe were all given to little time last time. As for the remaining yellow-blooded sea cucumbers, the village leader might not be able to bear it. Of course, in addition to catching some seafood, Han Fei also planned to wander around the 8 villages today. 1 hour later, Han Fei appeared over the Heavenlywood Village. As its name suggested, the Heavenlywood Village was basically covered by big trees, and most people live in the trees or built tree houses in the forest. Only the area near the port was open air, probably for the convenience of going to sea or something. Han Fei had flown around the Heavenlywood Village several times, holding a fish skin map and drawing something from time to time. Xia Xiaochan asked curiously, "Haven't you studied it thoroughly? What's there to draw about these villages?" Han Fei shook his head and said, "Do you remember that Junior Uncle Faceless told us that the level 3 fishery is a big array?" Xia Xiaochan nodded. "Yes. Aren't there arrays between the floating islands?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. What kind of array is it that spans hundreds of thousands of kilometers? I can't study the level 3 fishery, but I can study the arrays between the villages and towns first." Han Fei had too many questions to figure out in the level 3 fishery. What secrets were hidden in the sea grassland? Why could people transform into fish there? What was the book in Forge the Universe that he didn't dare to open? Why did the undersea city fall? Why did it fight against the fish tide in the sea for hundreds of years? What was the altar of the steps into the sea? Where did the offerings go? And where did the rewards come from? What was sealed under the steps into the sea? Who cut out the cracks in the abyssal chasm? What was hidden in that arcane realm that could not be entered and that could not be reached? Han Fei felt that everyone was wrapped in a series of huge secrets. Of course, Han Fei didn't have the ability to explore those things now. However, the trip to the level 3 fishery made him fully realize the importance of arrays. Especially the killing arrays. Those things were so terrifying that they could kill a large number of peak-level dangling fishers. Those who didn't have the ability didn't dare to break the killing arrays. Xia Xiaochan asked, "What have you found out?" Han Fei pondered for a long time. "I found out that every village should be the eye of the array." Puff! Xia Xiaochan rolled her eyes at Han Fei. "Do I need you to tell me that?" "I know that." Han Fei shrugged. It wasn't his fault. He really didn't understand. He really didn't understand. Village, in the plantation. Han Fei made a few dishes and said with a smile, "Grandpa Leader, can I ask you something? Has been the village town grassland." The village leader was coveting the steamed lobster. He was stunned for a moment. 100 years. God, village town, Fei Xiaoping town. County school, Fei's town, Fei school. The village that dragon had school. Fei school is Shan school. Zhou time. Long time. The town family school has school, Li Zhou Xiao school. Long school, Li Zhou Fei town have town. School. Tian High City, town village school. The Heavenly Water Village used to be next door to the Heavenly Heart Village, and it was the closest place to the Heavenly Heart Village. Unfortunately, it declined and was moved to where it is now. Han Fei asked in surprise, "Our village used to be next to the Heavenly Heart Village." The village leader picked up a large piece of lobster meat, stuffed it into his mouth, and nodded in praise. "TSK, not bad. It used to be. Our Heavenly Water Village used to have many talents and great fishing masters. Later, many of them died in the level 3 fishery and then declined." Xia Xiaochan wondered, "Then didn't you continue to cultivate talents?" The village leader smiled bitterly. "Sometimes it depends on luck. Only when geniuses rise will there be people who will follow them. If no geniuses are born for a period of time, the village will decline. This is an unchanging truth." Han Fei asked, "Is there nothing else important? Like sea monsters or something like that?" The village leader said, "Yes. This is recorded in the annals of our Heavenly Water Village. But you don't have to read it. About 50 years ago, it is said that a giant dragon passed through the ordinary fishery and finally plunged into the ordinary fishery. However, I didn't see it that time. I just heard about it. Should we go fishing or not?" Han Fei frowned. In this kind of place, he would rather believe in some legends. This experience made him deeply realize that he didn't know much about the known fisheries. Sizzle. The village leader took a sip of wine and said, "And it seems to be about 8 or 9 years ago. Anyway, it was about 10 years ago. At that time, dozens of hidden fishers came to the Heavenly Water Village. I remember that day very clearly. There was a big boat in the sky, and the clouds in the sky were scattered. The hidden fishers stood on the bow of the boat, and a battle broke out in the sky." Han Fei's eyes lit up. "What battle?" The village leader said grumpily. "How would I know? What was my level, and what was their level? I couldn't even see who was fighting who. Anyway, the battle lasted less than half an hour, and they left." Han Fei picked up a drunken lobster and put it into his mouth in disappointment. This battle was a bit interesting, but the village leader didn't know anything, so he couldn't understand it. The village leader said, "Why do you ask this? You invited me to dinner just to ask this?" Han Fei chuckled. "I just want to know the history of our Heavenly Water Village." The village leader smacked his lips and said, "What's there to know? By the way, when will you and Miss Xiaochan get married? You're going to be old soon. Do you want to leave a seed in the village?" Puff. Cough, cough. Xia Xiaochan coughed out a fishball, her face flushed. Han Fei was speechless. "No, Grandpa Leader, am I old? We young people should work hard to cultivate, strive to transcend, and strive to enter the 1,000-star city and the unknown sea." Xia Xiaochan agreed very much. "Yes, Han Fei is right." The village leader shook his head slightly. "Young people like to take risks. So do you. So do Xiao Wushuang, and even he Xiao Yu. Alas." Han Fei. Suddenly, he heard the village chief say, "That sickly father of yours also loves to brag." In the end, he blew his own trumpet until he disappeared. Han Fei was taken aback. "Wait, village leader, do you know my father?" The village leader sneered. "I know many people in the Heavenly Water Village. Your father, right? He was clearly not that strong, and he was even weaker than me back then. But he was strong enough, wasn't he? At that time, he bragged about how powerful he was in the unknown place, but when I asked him what the unknown place was, he couldn't tell me anything. How could a great fishing master know anything about the unknown place? In the end, he died outside, didn't he?" Han Fei frowned. "That's not what I remember." Although his memories of his cheap father were rather vague, he had always remembered that his cheap father had died in the unknown place, right? Suddenly, Han Fei froze. That's not right. How strong must one be to go to the unknown place? Doesn't that mean that my father was at least a peak-level dangling fisher? Han Fei couldn't remember for a while. In his memory, someone seemed to come to him and tell him that his father died in the unknown place outside the level 3 fishery. Tengu also knew about this. The crux of the matter was not where this cheap father had died. If he was a strong master, why would he stay in a small place like the Heavenly Water Village? On the next day, Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan explored the ordinary fishery for the nth time. Just like Jiang Qin, Han Fei searched almost inch by inch, especially those places covered by seaweed. Han Fei specially went to check them. Unfortunately, in the end, he still couldn't find anything amiss. At this moment, Han Fei emerged from the water and saw Xia Xiaochan's 2 feet splashing water. Xia Xiaochan saw Han Fei and said directly, "Boring, boring." Han Fei wiped the seawater on his face and said, "Okay, let's go back. Go back and inform the village leader and the others. Let's go back to school." Han Fei didn't bother to search anymore. At that time, Jiang Qin almost turned the ordinary fishery upside down and finally found the news about the sea-quelling painting by accident. He didn't want to stay in this place for 3 or 5 years, just to solve some doubts in his heart. Just as the two were about to return to the village, they saw a fishing boat flying over in the sky, and He Mingtang stood on the bow and waved. Before the fishing boat landed, he heard He Mingtang shouting, "Han Fei, save Xiaoyu." Han Fei's face changed, and he hurriedly asked, "What happened?" He Mingtang quickly took a breath. The village leader just got the news that a group of teachers and students of the First Academy had an accident in the deep-sea jungle of the Level 2 fishery. Xiaoyu should be among them. Because the Blue Sea town is far away and you happen to be here, the village leader asked me to find you as soon as possible. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't be excited. I'll go now." He Mingtang nodded. "I'll go too." Han Fei nodded. "Get on the boat." First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 551. He Mingtang was dumbfounded. He had never been on such a fast fishing boat. In a few seconds, the fishing boat had gone straight up to the clouds, breaking through the air. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. Do you know when they had an accident?" He Mingtang shook his head. "I don't know. They only said that Xiaoyu and the others went there without permission." The teachers of the First Academy soon found out and immediately sent someone back to the town, and then immediately sent someone to inform the village leaders of the nearest villages to rescue them. Han Fei frowned. 6 hours? Xia Xiaochan suddenly said, "Did their teacher find them as soon as they went down?" He Mingtang nodded. "It seems so. After someone went back to call them, the teachers seemed to have gone down too." Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei. "How long did we stay down there?" Han Fei frowned. "It doesn't seem to be long. The point is that we don't know where they went down. We have to walk around to find out." The speed of the wind god boat was astonishingly fast. At full speed, it only took them less than an hour to arrive. When Han Fei arrived, he saw a group of students on the periphery of the deep-sea jungle, none of whom he knew. The sudden appearance of Han Fei's fishing boat startled everyone. Someone immediately recognized him. Han Fei. Xia Xiaochan? Han Fei didn't beat around the bush, but asked directly, "Where did they disappear?" Immediately, someone said, "Just ahead, about 50 kilometers. Swish! The wind god boat flashed away, leaving only a red shadow in everyone's eyes. After Han Fei and the others left, someone said dumbfoundedly, "Aren't Han Fei and the others in the level 3 fishery?" Someone was stunned. "What kind of fishing boat is that? It's so fast." Someone said in surprise, "I heard that Han Fei and the others once broke into the deep-sea jungle. We can definitely rescue them." Han Fei didn't need to use the fishing boat at all. He could directly explore the bottom with his perception. When he was 50 kilometers away, Han Fei found traces of battle and people had died here. However, he didn't find Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, this was the area near the clam silkworm's domain. It was really dangerous to go down from this place. The wind god boat shuttled back and forth above the deep-sea jungle, and it only took it 100 minutes to find these people beside the sea willow. When he saw these people, Han Fei was dumbfounded. There were a few familiar faces in the group. There were Wang Baiyu, Xiao Wushuang, Xiang Zuozhua, Lin Xingmu, and Su Yabai. At this moment, they seemed to be in a rather sorry state. Xiang Zuozhua raised her hammer and fought against the roar of the wooden fish. Lin Xingmu stood in front of everyone with a piece of spirit crystal. Su Yabai was trying to pluck a fruit from the sea willow. Han Fei was relieved and said, "Mr. He, it's okay. He's down there." He Mingtang was stunned. "Ah, how did you know?" Xia Xiaochan smiled. "He's fine. He's fighting. He's quite good, isn't he, Han Fei?" Xia Xiaochan said in a teasing tone. As a matter of fact, He Xiaoyu dodged the wooden fish's tongues that were coming at her at a high speed like an agile elf. He Xiaoyu was hovering among the willow trees with 2 daggers in her hands. Su Yabai was only helping He Xiaoyu shake off the tongues so that she could grab the wood spiritual fruit. Han Fei chuckled dryly. He Xiaoyu was using the full set of the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. The only thing that Han Fei didn't understand was when He Xiaoyu became a hunter. Han Fei said, "She picked 3 fruits for them." Xia Xiaochan said, "Don't look down on her. After all, she's a dangling fisher now. It would be strange if she couldn't get the fruits." He Mingtang asked anxiously, "What's going on down there? Why aren't you anxious at all?" Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. There are 3 intermediate dangling fishers down there. Are you worried that something will happen to Xiaoyu?" Dangling fishers? Thud. The surface of the sea trembled. He Mingtang was startled, but he took a long breath in relief. There are dangling fishers. Why should we ask for help? I was so scared. Han Fei said, "Maybe someone arrived first. Let's just wait up there. I'll take action when necessary." At this moment, Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan looked at each other. They both remembered a tiny treant. At that time, they tried to attack the tiny treant, but the tiny treant didn't fight back. Then, Wenrinyu arrived in time and allowed them to grab 5 with spiritual fruits. At this moment, He Xiaoyu and the others had grabbed 3, but the tiny treant didn't come out? Xia Xiaochan suggested, "Should I go down and look for it?" Han Fei nodded. "Okay, you go down and take a look first. I'll see if I can find it up there." He Mingtang asked, "What are you looking for?" Han Fei said, "There's a special creature in this water. As long as the creature doesn't come out, He Xiaoyu and the others will be fine. However, I think it's coming out soon." "A special creature?" "Underwater," Xiang Zuozhua said angrily. "Damn it, these wooden fish are too annoying." "Su Yabai, can you control them?" Su Yabai said telepathically, "They're too dense." Moreover, from the start, the power of the rumbling has become stronger, as if something is controlling these trees. Lin Shimu said, "Hurry up. Although we're already dangling fishers, my spiritual energy is not enough for so many of you." Lin Shimu said, "He Xiaoyu, you're agile. Follow Xiang Zuozhua and grab the wood spiritual fruits as soon as she breaks the attack." Xiao Wushuang was waving his sword. "Hey, I can't hit them. Are these trees sentient?" Wang Baiyu held his shield and protected himself and Lin Xingmu. He couldn't help but say, "I should have practiced swordsmanship earlier. It's useless to leave them here." He Xiaoyu was standing on Xiang Zuozhua's sledgehammer and leaping out. She moved and twisted among the countless vines, reaching for a glowing with spiritual fruit. "Got it." He Xiaoyu suddenly beamed with joy. She cut off a willow branch and was about to return. But after she retreated dozens of meters, she suddenly felt a pain in her head, and then she was thrown away. Xiang Zuozhua roared, "Not good. Something's coming." Hardly had Xiang Zuozhua shouted when Su Yabai, who was controlling the spider threads, was slapped away by a vine and rolled dozens of times on the ground. Xiang Zuozhua raised her water hammer, and the shadow of the hammer was dozens of meters long, smashed at the whipping vine. Bam! Xiang Zuozhua was flung away and rolled in the water for a while. At the same time, Lin Xingmu, Xiao Wushuang, and Wang Baiyu were all slapped away. A voice suddenly came to everyone's ears. "Enough. Don't take any more." He Xiaoyu was stunned, bleeding from her eyes, nose, and mouth. "What's talking?" She was dumbfounded to see a little treant emerging from the bottom of the sea. A talking treant? Xiang's was too impatient to care about what it was. How could she, a dangling fisher, be defeated in the level 2 fishery? Pa! The vine broke through the air and whipped Xiang's violently again. Don't come again. However, nobody listened. Lin Xingmu covered them with spider threads, and Lin Xingmu covered them with a layer of spiritual armor. The two of them charged at the little treant at the same time. Pa! A dry vine suddenly appeared and wrapped the two of them. They were defeated so quickly that Lin Xingmu hurriedly said, "Senior, let's go. Let's go." However, the little treant ignored him and looked up. A golden fist mark fell from the sky. Papa, after 3 consecutive lashes, the fist mark was broken. But then dozens of fist marks smashed down. However, at the same time, hundreds of withered vines appeared in the seawater and whipped at these fist marks. The little treant had no time to care about He Xiaoyu and Xiao Wushuang. Instead, it asked in confusion, "It's you? You're here again." When Han Fei appeared in the water, He Xiaoyu was stunned. He Xiaoyu said in surprise, "Han Fei." Xiao Wushuang asked, "Why are you here? Am I dreaming?" Xiang's was stunned to see Han Fei. "You're back." Su Yabai and Lin Xingmu were not familiar with Han Fei, so they just nodded. They were no match for Han Fei, but they didn't want to suck up to him, especially after Han Fei caused so much trouble in the level 3 fishery. They knew very well that it would be a piece of cake for Han Fei to kill them. The little treant said, "Human, you shouldn't have come." Han Fei said with a smile, "The wood spiritual fruit is not valuable. The 6 of them only have 4. Give me 2 more." The little treant suddenly lashed back, but Xia Xiaochan's figure flashed. Then Xia Xiaochan performed the 1,000-strike technique and pierced the little treant into a plug in the blink of an eye. When Xia Xiaochan stopped attacking, the withered vines on the ground twisted, and the little treant reappeared unscathed. He Xiaoyu and the others were dumbfounded by this scene. How fast was Xia Xiaochan just now? How could such a strong little treant be crushed in the blink of an eye? The little treant looked at Xia Xiaochan. "Human, don't force me to fight." Han Fei narrowed his eyes and said, "So what if I fight?" Second update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 552. The little treant didn't know what kind of creature it was. Seeing Han Fei's eagerness, it didn't remind him again. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat, and he shouted, "Back off!" A withered vine suddenly appeared in front of Han Fei. Han Fei punched it 8 times in a row with the art of invincibility to block it. But the second vine had already arrived. At this time, Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell and the art of invincibility again. But the result was the same. He was blasted back dozens of meters again. Xia Xiaochan was flashing with red light, but she was no match for the little treant in speed and was also slapped away. Han Fei was shocked. Even with the majestic mystic spell, I still can't beat it? Han Fei's eyes turned cold, and the red light on his fist was blazing. The terrifying power made the seawater tremble. Again, as soon as the sacrificing punch was launched, the fist marked tens of meters in size flew through the seawater like a fiery dragon. The soil under its feet exploded, and the terrifying power swept across a radius of 100 meters. The little treant threw out its vine expressionlessly. This time, it was no longer a thin vine, but a withered vine as thick as 10 meters. Rumble, on the sea, He Mingtang was waiting anxiously, and then he felt the seawater bulge. The students of the First Academy waiting outside the deep-sea jungle were all shocked. What happened? It seems to be happening underwater. Such a violent vibration. Did something happen down there? Under the water, He Xiaoyu and the others were directly shaken out. This battle was no longer something they could watch. Han Fei slid back dozens of meters again. However, this time the little treant also slid back dozens of meters. When Xia Xiaochan was about to attack again, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Stop fighting." Han Fei was still frightened. He guessed that if he continued to fight, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Han Fei looked at the little treant. Why are you in the level 2 fishery? The little trance said, no need to ask. Leave. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. 5 wood spiritual fruits. The little trant pondered for a moment. You have already eaten. Han Fei said mischievously. I have a few junior brothers. The little trant put down its rattan-like hand and paused for a moment. Next time, there will be no more. With that, 5 wood spiritual fruits flew to Han Fei. Han Fei grinned. Hey, when can I come again? The little trant paused and looked at Han Fei, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. Han Fei shrugged. Okay. I'll go, okay? Then, Han Fei looked at Yi Xiaoyu and the others and threw 2 wood spiritual fruits at them. What are you waiting for? Go up. On the surface of the water, Yi Xiaoyu was surprised to see He Mingtang. Dad, why are you here? He Mingtang extended his finger and pressed it against Yi Xiaoyu's forehead. You're getting crazier and crazier. What place is dangerous? Why do you run there? He's already gone to ask for help. Otherwise, why do you think I'm here? Yi Xiaoyu bared her white teeth and said, Dad, I'm fine. Then Yi Xiaoyu looked at Han Fei and secretly glanced at Xia Xiaochan, saying with a smile, Han Fei, when did you come back? Han Fei shrugged. I've been back for a while. Mister He has known it for a long time, but you don't go back to the Heavenly Water Village now. Then Han Fei looked at Zuozua and the other 2. Han Fei said, a soul warrior, a spirit gatherer, and a manipulator. Where's Li Hani? If you had an armorist who attacks in a large area, he would have picked the fruits. The little trant probably wouldn't have come out. Everyone was speechless. Don't you know why Li Hani didn't come? Xia Xiaochan added, You're a disgrace to the dangling fishers. Xiang Zuozua said angrily, Disgrace? It's because the wooden fish is too annoying. Otherwise, I would have snatched it. Han Fei didn't bother to talk to Xiang Zuozua. He bumped Xiao Wushuang's shoulder and said with a smile, Back to school? Or back to the village? Xiao Wushuang nodded. Back to the village, back to the village. It's rare to see each other. Let's have dinner tonight. This was a daunting but not dangerous experience. He Mingtang was the one who was the most afraid. However, now the girl's strength had surpassed his, and he couldn't do anything about it. In the evening, they just had a casual dinner in the plantation. At the dinner table, Yi Xiaoyu said, I heard that you made a big deal in the level 3 fishery. Han Fei wondered, how did the town know about the level 3 fishery? Xiao Wushuang said with a smile, Have you forgotten who we're going to train with today? It said that you made a lot of noise. Ahem. I just want to ask, what realm are you in now? Wang Baiyu, Xiao Wushuang, and Yi Xiaoyu's eyes were shining. They were all F*King hanging fishers. This was beyond their imagination. They had discussed in private that Han Fei had probably become a hanging fisher at this time. Han Fei smiled and said, I'm still a dangling fisher. Phew. The 3 of them breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Otherwise, they would be scared to death. However, even if he was a dangling fisher, it was amazing enough. At first glance, they knew he was much stronger than Xiang Zuozua and the others. Han Fei said, Don't go to the deep-sea jungle in the future. It's weird there. Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei. When you were fighting, I went to look for it, but I didn't find anything strange. Han Fei said, It means that we are not strong enough. Xia Xiaochan nodded and ate. She was completely unfamiliar with Yi Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, she was a little uncomfortable. She hadn't adapted to this month's life yet. She felt that she still liked school life, where there were only a few people and everyone was very familiar with each other. This meal was very ordinary and also very strange. Yi Xiaoyu and Xia Xiaochan didn't talk from beginning to end. Yi Xiaoyu glanced at Han Fei from time to time, and Xia Xiaochan, who had been with Han Fei for a long time, saw it. She stepped on Han Fei's foot onto the dinner table. Han Fei couldn't bear it. We're just F*King pure friends. After the meal, Han Fei warmly saw them off. Yi Xiaoyu suddenly said, Han Fei, will you go to the 36-town competition? What competition? Wang Baiyu shrugged. Not necessarily. Who are they going to fight? Yi Xiaoyu nodded. When the time comes, we will also go with them. See you then. Han Fei sent them away in a daze and looked back. It seems that there is some kind of competition between the towns. Xiao Xiaochan didn't care about this, but looked at Han Fei and said, "He Xiao Yu likes you." Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "You know about it again?" Xiao Xiaochan nodded quickly. "During the meal, she glanced at you 201 times." Han Fei was amused. "You counted that too." Xiao Xiaochan squinted at Han Fei. "You said it yourself. You can't kiss others or have children with others after you fall in love." Han Fei laughed and was about to grab Xiao Xiaochan and kiss her hard. Unfortunately, Xiao Xiaochan flashed and sat on the roof. "I can't let you kiss me all the time. You will stick out your tongue." Han Fei. In the evening, Han Fei didn't cultivate but slept contentedly. When he got up in the morning and was about to make breakfast, he saw Wenren sitting at the table as soon as he went out. Holding her chin with one hand, she was looking at the sun. Han Fei was stunned. "Ms. Wenren?" Wenren looked back at Han Fei with a smile. "Hey, isn't this student Han Fei? I heard that you've been back for a month." Han Fei immediately looked up at the sky. Well, Ms. Wenren, I'm going to relax for 2 days, experience this wonderful world, and feel the aura of the way of heaven." Smack! Han Fei was slapped on the head. "I'll show you the wonderful world and the aura of the way of heaven." With that, Wenren suddenly glanced in the direction of the plantation. "Xiao Xiaochan, where are you going?" "Where can you go?" Xiao Xiaochan bared her teeth and walked out of the plantation. "Ms. Wenren, you're here." Wenren glared at her. "If I didn't come, would you have gone to heaven?" Xiao Xiaochan quickly said, "Ms. Wenren, we were about to go back today." Han Fei nodded. Yes, if we hadn't been delayed by something yesterday, we would have gone back yesterday." Wenren looked at him as if to say, "So now you are living together?" Puff! Han Fei immediately said, "How is that possible? We're just cultivating here for a few days." Xiao Xiaochan looked confused. "Living together? We've only been living together for a month." Han Fei immediately said to her via voice transmission, "Idiot, living together means sleeping together." Xiao Xiaochan quickly explained, "No, we're not sleeping together." Then Xiao Xiaochan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Han Fei thought to himself, "I didn't expect you to be so straightforward." Wenren nodded. "Go back to school and go to class. This is the first time I've heard that a teacher came out to look for students. Luren Kwong went back half a month ago." Han Fei was taken aback and asked, "Ms. Wenren, since you know we're back, why are you calling us back now?" "But why are you calling us back now? Is there something wrong?" With that said, Wenren said disdainfully, "Otherwise, do you think I wanted to come here? There's a battle I need you to fight." The third chapter, asking for votes. The author said, "This chapter has just begun. Take your time. Don't panic." End of this chapter. Chapter 553. In the plantation outside the Thug Academy. After nearly a year of nourishment, the vegetation was more flourishing and the plants seemed to have doubled in size. Around the plantation were rows of golden wheat. However, the wheat was as thick and full as corn bundles. Han Fei felt that as long as he cut one, he could make a dumpling. The effect of the spirit gathering formation was reflected, and this was only the effect of the spirit gathering formation set up by Han Fei himself. If it were the effect of the spirit gathering formation on the dragon boat, the spiritual energy here would be so rich that water would drip out. Han Fei asked, "Are Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan here?" Wenren said lightly. They went to the arena. Xiao Xiaochan was surprised. "Haven't they finished yet?" Hearing Xiao Xiaochan's words, Wenren's face suddenly turned black. "There are only 2 of them, so they can only play a single match, which is more difficult." Han Fei had no interest in fighting in the arena. He asked curiously, "Ms. Wenren, why did we come back to fight? We've fought enough in the level 3 fishery." Wenren snorted. "It's simple this time, just a formality. But in the level 3 fishery, you really caused a lot of trouble, and your junior uncle Faceless had to clean up your mess." Han Fei bared his teeth. "Junior uncle Faceless robbed us of 5 billion. Oh no, 7 billion. Wenren paused and exclaimed in disbelief, "How much?" Han Fei and Xiao Xiaochan looked at each other. 7 billion. Bam! Han Fei turned into a perfect arc and flew into the school. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, who happened to come back, saw this scene from a distance. Chu Jinan was stunned. Well, is that senior brother Han Fei? Ling Yuan swallowed and nodded. It seems to be. No, it must be him. Bam! Han Fei, who had just flown into the school, turned into a perfect arc and flew out of the school. Seeing Wenren use fishing rod again, Han Fei was furious. Hey, do you think you were a teacher? Are you playing ping pong? Han Fei was pulled into the school again. This time, he didn't fly out, but Xia Xiaochan ran away as soon as she saw this scene. While running, Xia Xiaochan stuck out her tongue and shouted, "It's none of my business. I'm innocent." Humph! Inside the school, Han Fei was hanging upside down on a tree and said angrily, "Old Bai, that's too much. We're family. If you're so capable, ask Uncle Master Faceless for it. Why are you venting your anger on me?" Old Bai was standing in front of Han Fei, his eyes full of ferocity. If that be **starred Faceless gave us money, would our school be so poor? Han Fei was stunned. Well, no. Isn't Junior Uncle Faceless from the Thug Academy? Isn't it his duty to contribute to the school? It was unknown when Xiao Zhan had appeared. He chuckled and said, "That guy naturally has a use for money. However, giving it all to him is indeed too much. Even if it's Martial Uncle, you haven't seen him before. Can't you be more careful?" Han Fei said angrily, "It's not your fault. He didn't give anything, not even the protective amulet or the immortal seal. Then shouldn't we buy it? Isn't it all money if we buy it?" Han Fei jumped off the tree and asked curiously, "Why does Junior Uncle Faceless need so much money? Why didn't he acknowledge us as soon as possible? If Xiao Bai hadn't guessed it, he wouldn't have told us." Old Bai snorted. "It's none of your business. However, you didn't lose anything. Faceless gave you a lot of benefits." Han Fei was puzzled. The immortal seal? One immortal seal per person. Is it worth so much money? Old Bai squinted at Han Fei. "Didn't he give you spirit awakening fluid?" Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "He did. A total of 3,315 caddies. I clearly remember that we exchanged for it with money." Xiao Zhan patted Han Fei on the shoulder. "You can't exchange for spirit awakening fluid with money." Han Fei. Xia Xiaochan emerged from the tree at this moment. "Are you done fighting? If not, I'll come out." Lu Renquang, Zhang Xuanyu, and Luo Xiaobai ran over from the depths of the school. Lu Renquang said, "You're finally back." Han Fei was stunned. "Wait, why are you so fast? You're all back?" Han Fei heard from Wenrinyu that Old Bai went to pick up Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai. "Wasn't it too fast?" Luo Xiaobai said lightly, "We came back at night." Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, "Fei Fei, I heard that you too." Zhang Xuanyu blinked at Han Fei and was kicked away by Han Fei. "Get lost. Don't talk nonsense all day." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also ran back with Wenrinyu. Seeing Han Fei, they hurriedly said, "Senior brother, senior sister." Han Fei looked back. "You're already an advanced great fishing master?" Chu Jinan nodded. "Thank you, senior brother Han Fei, for your previous teaching." Han Fei waved his hand. "It has nothing to do with me. It's your own hard work." Han Fei waved his hand again. "Don't be so polite. Don't be so polite to me, senior brother. Come, I brought you a gift this time." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan looked at each other. "Gifts?" With that, Han Fei put his arm around Chu Jinan and said, "Let's go. I'll take you to the mountain to have a look." Old Bai said leisurely, "Starting from tomorrow morning, all of you will have lessons. Get ready. It's time for lunch." "I heard that the yellow-blooded sea cucumber tastes good." Han Fei. After returning to school, everyone immediately relaxed, and the word comfortable filled everyone's heart. Han Fei, Lu Renquang, Chu Jinan, and Ling Yuan were working in the open-air kitchen. Han Fei did an experiment and threw dozens of low-quality spiritual weapons to Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. For Han Fei, low-quality spiritual weapons were not valuable, but that was relative. After all, there were many people in the level 3 fishery who still used magic weapons. Han Fei felt that he was much more generous than Old Bai and the others. When he went to the level 3 fishery, he took out a few sea-swallowing seashells and a few low-quality spiritual weapons. At this moment, Han Fei said, "Today I came up with a new dish called Big Fish Head with diced peppers." Lu Renquang immediately put down his work. "Innovation? Let me have a look." Xia Xiaochan said, "I'll eat whatever you make." "Whatever. By the way, isn't it a bit unfair for us to participate in the 36-town exchange competition now?" Everyone was called back temporarily, obviously to deal with this competition, but even Han Fei didn't understand why they had to participate in this competition. In the past, when they heard Old Bai and the others brag that the Thug Academy had swept the 36 towns and defeated the Thousand-Star City, they only thought it was awesome. But now, they had defeated the people from the Thousand-Star City, robbed the dragon boats, and defeated the hanging fishers. Couldn't they even defeat the students from the same academy? Luo Xiaobai nodded. It shouldn't be as simple as a competition. Of course, it's not that simple. Xiao Zhan had walked over at some point, leaned in front of Han Fei, looked at the fish head, and then said, "This kind of exchange competition is naturally not difficult for you now. But this competition is the key to leading to the unknown place." Huh. Even Han Fei couldn't help but put down his knife. Leading to the unknown place? Luo Xiaobai asked, "Can we go there if we win?" Xiao Zhan shook his head. To be precise, 80% of those who participate in the competition can go to the unknown place. Han Fei was speechless. Then why do we have to compete? Since everyone is going there, let's just go there. Xiao Zhan smiled and said, "Which one do you want to be?" Han Fei didn't even think about it. "Of course, I want to be the boss. How nice it is to be treated." Xiao Zhan said, "So the strength of the ranking has something to do with what position you will be in after you go there. Do you still think this competition is meaningless?" Xia Xiaochan asked. "Are there different levels of identities in the unknown place?" Lu Renquang nodded. "Yes, why doesn't it sound good?" Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Teacher, what is this unknown place? Can you reveal it in advance?" Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also pricked up their ears. They hadn't even been to the level 3 fishery yet, let alone the unknown place. However, everyone was curious. They had always heard of the reputation of the unknown place, but they hadn't heard any rumors about it. How annoying was that? Xiao Zhan smiled and said, "What's the hurry? Do you think you can go there just because you want to?" "The competition won't start until a month later, so we will start classes tomorrow. The process of the competition may be a bit boring, but you can just take it as a tour. After the competition, you need to improve your strength as much as possible. So, there's still about half a year class time. After that, we will go there together." Xiao Zhan finally revealed the truth to everyone. The real purpose of the competition was to get a better identity. What kind of identity? Why did the heavenly talents of the 36 towns need to compete for it? First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 554. After a year, sleeping in the treehouse again made Han Fei feel extremely comfortable. As the saying went, it was good to sleep for a while. Except for Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei and the others were all dragged out of the treehouse by Xiao Zhan. Besides, the way Xiao Zhan and the others taught Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan was different from that of Han Fei and the others. At this moment, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were sitting on the grass with them, listening to Xiao Zhan's lecture. Xiao Zhan said, "Do you know why we haven't taught you any standardized lessons since you entered the Thug Academy?" Han Fei muttered, "Because we're lazy." Xiao Zhan said seriously, "Han Fei, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't smile at me." Han Fei. Among the 6 of them, it was too easy to catch a bad student. Han Fei was the one who stood out. Everyone else was sitting, but he was standing. Xiao Zhan continued with satisfaction. "It stands to reason that the meaning of the existence of schools and teachers is to preach, teach, and solve doubts. However, you're not ordinary people. According to this teaching method, sooner or later, you will be led astray. So, we're just guiding you to explore, gain experience, fight, comprehend. Finally, we will help you summarize and integrate." Xiao Zhan rambled for a while before he said leisurely, "For now, your cultivation path is bumpy but also smooth. Before you went to the level 3 fishery, I discussed with Ms. Wenrin and the principal whether we should give you enough shelter. If we gave you shelter, you wouldn't die easily, but you might lose the heart of enterprise and think that I won't die anyway. As you can see, this is why the 7 major sects of the Thousand-Star City are being pushed to the bottom of the sea by you. Zhang Xuanyu said, Teacher, you are too careless. I was caught as soon as I entered the level 3 fishery. If I hadn't been smart, I wouldn't have been able to come back. Xiao Zhan glanced at him coldly. Zhang Xuanyu, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't interrupt in class, okay? Zhang Xuanyu. Han Fei couldn't help but cast a comforting look at him. Xiao Zhan sneered. We don't lack combat skills, and now you don't lack any. However, have you realized that there's something wrong with combat skills? When it came to the Q&A session, Luo Xiaobai answered first. There are too many people in the level 3 fishery and too many strange combat skills. But most of them can only catch people off guard at the beginning, but the second time they use it, it's very easy for others to break it. Xia Xiaochan also replied, as long as you are strong enough, it doesn't matter what combat skills you have. Han Fei added, I found that as long as the level of a combat skill is high enough, it can be very strong. Xiao Zhan flicked his fishing rod and hooked a stone weighing dozens of tons out of nowhere. He smashed it at Han Fei's head. Carry it and listen to the class. Han Fei was lost for words. No, Master, you're obviously targeting me. Zhang Xuanyu kept his mouth shut and tried not to say a word. He did not want to listen to the lecture while carrying a boulder that weighed over 5,000 kilograms. That would be rather embarrassing. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but move a little away from Han Fei, for fear that Han Fei would throw the stone down and hit them on the head. Xiao Zhan's eyes almost stare at Han Fei's face. Let me tell you, when you were a dangling fisher, you still felt that it didn't matter whether you practiced combat skills or not. However, since you have dealt with people from the Thousand-Star City, you must have found that most of these people only practice targeted combat skills. Many good combat skills will be constantly abandoned in the process of growth until you find a combat skill that suits you. Lu Quang nodded. Yes, I found that my sky swallowing technique is not bad. This combat skill suits me. Xiao Zhan kicked at him. Stand up and listen to the class. Heh, you are an armorist. Have you mastered the art of armories? Your sky swallowing technique, if you encounter a nimble hunter like Xia Xiaochan, will be pierced by you just by standing there. Now, Han Fei had one more friend. Lu Quang said weakly, doesn't it mean that we have practiced so many combat skills in vain? Xiao Zhan shook his head. Of course not. When you're still a dangling fisher, the more combat skills you have, the better. As long as you can master them, you can eat as much as you want until you can't take it anymore. However, the more you practice, the more you have to start simplifying to the point that one technique can break all other techniques. Zhang Xuanyu muttered, Teacher, how can it be so simple? This is the path I am taking. I haven't figured out how to continue to evolve the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan sneered. That's because you have dabbled in too few combat skills. 9 is an extreme number. Why don't you try combining them? Zhang Xuanyu said, I have tried. After combining them, whether it is endurance or power, it is not as good as the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan nodded. Starting tomorrow, you will fight with me. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes lit up. Okay. Han Fei's eyes also lit up. Teacher, what about me? Do you think I can return a 1? I have saber techniques and fist techniques. Do you think I can create a fist saber? Luo Xiaobai and the others couldn't help turning their heads, because another boulder flew over. Xiao Zhan was speechless. Why don't you go to heaven? Fist is fist, knife is knife. You're a body cultivator, so you should learn more close combat skills. You just need to comprehend the same type of combat skills to the best. Don't think about these things all day long. Xiao Zhan pointed out. Don't think we don't know what you did in the level 3 fishery. Now I will call your names one by one. After that, report to the principal or teacher when we're in one by one. The principal said, First of all, Han Fei, you have the strongest physique, so you should take the path of toughness. But considering that you're also a spirit gatherer, it is reasonable for you to practice knife and sword techniques. But you are too impetuous and haven't refined any of your combat skills. Although you are not weak, you are not the strongest. Now you seem to be very strong, so strong that no one seems to be your opponent. But if you don't change, one day you will pay the price. Okay, reflect on it for an hour, and then report to the principal. Han Fei, then Xiao Zhan commented on the one by one. Luren Kuang, your physique is not weak, and you have a lot of combat skills, but your path is narrow. An armorist should be the one who can fight the best among all of us, but you are not. You lack the ability of close combat. Report to me in half a month. In this half a month, go to the library and find 5 armorist close combat skills to learn. Zhang Xuanyu, your attack is too simple. You have integrated all the combat skills of a soul warrior into your self-created combat skills, but it has not reached the effect of 1 + 1 = 2, which shows that your deduction is not firm enough. Also, your soul power is not enough, and you lack the means of attack. Come to me tomorrow. Xia Xiaochan, your specialty is speed. In terms of speed, you're the fastest here. It stands to reason that your attack is not weak, your reaction is fast, and your stealth effect is good. However, you lack an extremely explosive offensive combat skill. Therefore, when you encounter a real top genius or a physique-refining genius like Han Fei, your attack will be inadequate. Later, report to Ms. Wenrinyu. Luo Xiaobai, your talent lies in calmness and strong judgment. You have an advantage in team battles and can easily control the overall situation. However, when you're fighting alone, you lack effective means of combat. You can only rely on the element of surprise from spirit plants. Once someone is not afraid of this, you will be in great danger. Later, go with Xia Xiaochan to find Ms. Wenrinyu. When Xiao Zhan was commenting, he spoke very fast, which surprised Han Fei. He hadn't seen them for a year, but Xiao Zhan could easily comment on their strengths and weaknesses. Did this old guy secretly go to the level 3 fishery to take a look? Xiao Zhan also added, speaking of this, I'd like to comment on Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. First of all, Ling Yuan is an armorist completely different from Luren Kuang's. However, Ling Yuan's armoring skills are too complicated and she hasn't found a direction yet. From now on, you will fight with Luren Kuang for 6 hours every day. You are not allowed to eat for 1 minute less. By the way, Chu Jinan, you're too naive. You're too kind. Absolutely not. You have to learn from Han Fei. When you can be as shameless as him, you can become an apprentice. Puff! Han Fei yelled. Teacher, that's too much, isn't it? I'm not scheming, I'm simple. Don't add more stones, or I won't be able to bear it. Xiao Zhan nodded with satisfaction. Yes, remember, teach your junior brother well. You are more experienced in this aspect. Also, you have to stimulate his fierceness. Chu Jinan was dumbfounded. Is this lesson so original? Second, asking for votes, into this chapter. Chapter 555. The class didn't last long. As Xiao Zhan said, he guided the students and then let them comprehend it by themselves. Before leaving, he told Han Fei, stand for an hour. Luren Kuang threw the stone at Han Fei and ran to the library, saying that he was going to study the close combat armor art. Xia Xiaochan and Luo Xiaobai went to find Wenrinyu. It was estimated that they would have to fight later. Zhang Xuanyu, this be starred, ran away with Xiao Zhan without waiting for tomorrow, saying that he wanted to discuss the unity combat method. Only Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan didn't make any arrangements. The two of them had just returned from the arena in the morning, so they didn't know whether to leave or stay. Just when the two of them exchanged glances and were about to slip away, Han Fei said leisurely, Chu Jinan. Chu Jinan quickly straightened his body. Yes, senior brother. Han Fei asked, did you win or lose the fight today? Chu Jinan quickly said, I won. Han Fei raised his eyelids. Oh, how many games have you won? Chu Jinan nodded. I won the 68th game. Han Fei looked at Ling Yuan. What about you? Ling Yuan was stunned for a moment and then said, Senior brother Han Fei, I've just won the 68th game. Just like him. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Well, do you know where the hexagon starfish is? Ling Yuan said, it is in Mr. Xiao Zhan's bull cockpit. Han Fei was taken aback. No wonder I haven't seen it yet. What is it doing in the bull cockpit? Ling Yuan was a little puzzled. It seems to be making friends with the bull conches. Han Fei was speechless. Why did this guy make friends with food? Han Fei nodded and suddenly said, let me ask you too. Do you know why you have only won 68 games so far? Ling Yuan said, because the opponents often change, and we need to deal with all kinds of means carefully. Han Fei shook his head. No, Chu Jinan, tell me. Chu Jinan thought to himself. My answer is similar to Ling Yuan's. However, since senior brother asked this question, he must want me to give a different answer. According to Mr. Xiao Zhan's analysis, senior brother Han Fei was very shameless, so complimenting him should be a good choice. Chu Jinan immediately said, because we are not as good as you. Ugh. Han Fei blushed and thought to himself, why is this kid always telling the truth? Han Fei frowned. No, it's because you're not under enough pressure. Do you know? With pressure, there would be motivation. Only with motivation would one focus on research and exploration, and only then would one become outstanding. Do you think senior brother is right? Chu Jinan thought for a long time and glanced at Ling Yuan. Right. Han Fei said happily, okay, stand still. I'll give you a little pressure. Catch. As a result, Chu Jinan inexplicably carried a big stone weighing tens of thousands of kilograms on his shoulder, looking dumbfounded. Was this the so-called pressure? Ling Yuan cursed inwardly. He's really shameless and only knows how to fool people. Before Ling Yuan slipped away, Han Fei said seriously, Ling Yuan, do you know Xiang's Wuzwa from the First Academy? Ling Yuan nodded awkwardly. I know. Han Fei asked, do you have the confidence to surpass her? Ling Yuan nodded. Of course, I will definitely surpass her. Han Fei praised. Good, you're ambitious. But that woman is very strong, while your strength is very little now. I'm going to exercise you. Catch. Ling Yuan. In the blink of an eye, Ling Yuan also carried a big stone on her head, weighing tens of thousands of kilograms. Was it heavy? Of course it was. When Han Fei was an advanced great fishing master, he could only lift 20,000 kilograms. If he tried his best, he could probably lift 30,000 kilograms. If he kept lifting it for an hour, he would definitely have back pain and leg cramps. When Han Fei carried 2 stones on his head, he was very relaxed. Carrying a stone, he said, well, not bad. It seems that your physique has really caught up. Huh? Why are you sweating? Is it because the stone is too heavy? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes. Don't you know why you're sweating? Han Fei said, today we're just trying a little. Come on, run with me. Let's carry the stone back to the mountain. Pooh. As his junior brother and junior sister, what could they say? Just run. But it was very stressful to run. Carry a stone weighing 10,000 kilograms and run. Only someone with a hole in their head would do that. Just now, their teacher caught it. After running for only 2 steps, Han Fei suddenly turned around. His face changed, and he said fiercely, you can still run? You have to do your best, understand? Come on, add another stone. In the past, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were too weak, and Han Fei was afraid that he would accidentally injure these 2 little guys. Now, the 2 of them were not weak, and Han Fei felt that carrying 2 stones shouldn't be a big problem. Han Fei said, remember to carry it every day. Carry it around the school every day. I promise you that in the future, you will be able to beat people as easily as beating stones. Then Han Fei called out the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Follow them. Whoever puts down the stone within an hour, beat him. After a year of growth, Chu Jinan's physique was no weaker than Ling Yuan's, and even a bit stronger. But at this moment, the 2 of them couldn't run anymore and could only move forward step by step on the ground. They were all speechless. There was still more than 20 kilometers to go to the mountain. At this speed, it would take them more than an hour to get there. But Han Fei didn't care. While chewing potato chips, he walked toward Xiao Zhan's hut. In the bull conch pit, there was mud everywhere. There were 6 big, shiny, gem-like eyeballs, enjoying the bull conch's massage comfortably. Yes, the bull conch was not small, and because of its habit of rolling, it would always make the mud pit full of potholes. At this moment, there were 6 bull conches grinding on the 6 tentacles of the hexagon starfish. Han Fei was stunned. Master Hexagon, are you massaging me? When the hexagon starfish saw Han Fei, it shivered, shook its tentacles, and threw out a bull conch. A mass of water popped out in front of Han Fei's eyes, and the bull conch was cleaned. It was just the right dish to go with wine that night. The hexagon starfish's big eyes rolled. "You're back." Han Fei smiled weirdly. "Of course. Do you think I won't come back?" The hexagon starfish shrugged. "No, I think I live quite well here. If you have something to do, just go ahead." Han Fei smiled. "I'm fine. I just came to see you. By the way, I'm going to study arrays later. Just stay here for a while and wait for me to come to you." Han Fei had always felt that the hexagon starfish had extraordinary talent in arrays. It was just that this guy might be lazy, so he didn't like to use them. For example, killing arrays. Did he really not know how to use them? Not necessarily. It was just that the hexagon starfish didn't like fighting. Han Fei had made up his mind to study the spirit-gathering scripture carefully from beginning to end. Of course, he needed the help of this big starfish. 1 hour later, Han Fei found Old Bai. "President, I'm here to report." Old Bai tilted his eyes and glanced at Han Fei. "Show me your strongest combat skills." Han Fei didn't expect Old Bai to be so direct. Did he want to fight him? "President, are we going to start now?" Old Bai snorted. "Do you expect me to teach you slowly? Hurry up. After I teach you, you could get out of here." Han Fei immediately became serious. This was the first time that Old Bai taught him in person. Xiaozhan had taught him combat skills before, but Old Bai had never taught him in person. Han Fei frowned and attacked with all his 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers. Huh, all of them have their spirits sealed? Spiritual weapons with spirits were even faster. Ordinary, peak-level dangling fishers would be killed in the blink of an eye in the face of 100 ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Even Han Fei himself would be killed in an instant if he was attacked by the million-knife art formed by an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Old Bai rolled up his sleeves, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were rolled into Old Bai's sleeves one after another like long dragons. "Wow!" Han Fei was dumbfounded. "Where are my daggers?" Old Bai's beard curled up slightly, but he waved his hand, and the million-knife art swept towards Han Fei crazily. It was even faster than when it left. Fortunately, the spiritual weapons wouldn't kill their owners, so they all disappeared into Han Fei's body. But in the eyes of outsiders, it seemed that Han Fei had been pierced by thousands of swords and had no room to resist. Old Bai said, "You haven't mastered the million-knife art yet. Next one." Then he used the War Soul Bow technique, and Han Fei shot 6 arrows in a row. He didn't prepare to shoot the 7th arrow because his arms might not be able to bear it after shooting it. But Old Bai gathered spiritual energy in the air, turned it into a sword, and blew up the spiritual energy arrow, and then shot 6 arrows back at Han Fei in the same way. Han Fei used all his strength and waved the embroidery needle vigorously, but he failed to block the 2nd arrow, which hit him in the back and blasted him hundreds of meters away. Old Bai exclaimed, "This combat skill seems to be derived from the War God Bow, but it's even stronger than the War God Bow and has added soul attacks. Did you comprehend it yourself?" Of course, Han Fei's answer was yes. Old Bai nodded slightly. "That's not bad. The bow technique is not bad, but the speed of the arrows is too slow. It's not suitable for melee combat, but more suitable for team battles." Next one, the 3rd chapter, asking for votes. The author says, a transitional chapter, relaxing and casual. End of this chapter. Chapter 556. When Han Fei used a majestic mystic spell and the draw technique, Old Bai was surprised. Old Bai asked, secret techniques aside, "What kind of knife technique is this?" Han Fei bragged, "This is the ultimate knife attack that I've comprehended. With one slash, the knife intent is unleashed, and the knife intent is combined with the knife realm to unleash the spirit, energy, and spirit, as well as an indomitable momentum. BM." Han Fei was slapped away, and Old Bai said, "You brag to me every day. What knife intent do you think you're talking about? Have you mastered the real knife intent? You don't even know that knife intent and knife realm are the same thing. How dare you brag to me? There is indeed knife intent in this knife technique, but it's not complete. You've only learned half of it. If you continue to study it, it'll be fine, but you don't seem to care at all." Grabbing Han Fei back, Old Bai said, I heard that you have another punch. Show it to me. Han Fei was a little dizzy. He scratched his head and said, Mr. President, take it. As the sacrificing punch was brewing, Old Bai's eyes narrowed slightly. He felt a soaring, murderous intent. This punch was definitely comprehended in a life-and-death battle. When Han Fei blasted out the sacrificing punch, the huge energy swept over 100 meters and the power spread over 1,000 meters. Xiao Zhan and Wenren, you couldn't help but fly into the sky to see what was going on between Han Fei and Old Bai. Boom! Old Bai grabbed the fist mark with one hand and stomped his feet, and a defense array appeared. The sacrificing punch, which should have punched a whole dozens of meters wide in the ground, was locked in the defense array, and the dazzling brilliance lasted for 10 minutes. Han Fei was dumbfounded. President, what array is this? Old Bai smiled grimly. Why, do you want to learn it? This has nothing to do with arrays, but strength. You are too weak. Useless. Han Fei. Han Fei had used all his unique skills. The art of invincibility was not perfect yet, and that thing was comprehended by comprehension. Even if he showed it, he couldn't ask Old Bai to help him comprehend it. So Han Fei didn't use it. Old Bai said leisurely, this punch is not bad. However, the person who taught you must have been quite a domineering person. Other people use this fist as a life-saving technique, but if you used it in battle, you would be lacking in terms of momentum and willpower. Don't look down on these minor flaws. They've reduced the power of this fist by at least 30%. So many. Old Bai sneered. What do you think? Also, I don't know if it's just my imagination. The speed at which you unleash this punch seems to be a bit slow, as if you can't explode it in one go. This punch is 20% less powerful than the original one. Han Fei was shocked. Isn't it 50% weaker? Old Bai said with a faint smile. Yes. In that case, it seems that it wasn't that person who taught you on the spot. Instead, it was an opportunity that you obtained by chance. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Are the eyes of the strong so sharp? How could he even see this? In fact, as Old Bai said, it was because he saw that fist mark that he learned it. As for why his explosive speed was a little slow, it must be because of the fundamental difference between him and Ren Tianfen. Ren Tianfen had no meridians in his body, but he had meridians in his body. Although energy was not only conducted through the meridians, it would inevitably be blocked by the meridians. But in this regard, if his meridians were always intact, the sacrificing punch he performed would never reach a perfect level. In the distance, Wenren Yu and Xiao Zhan looked at each other. Wenren Yu asked, What combat skill is this? Xiao Zhan nodded. I can't tell. It seems that no one has used it before. It's not a low-level combat skill. Old Bai glanced at the two of them, and then the two of them fell into the forest and continued to teach Lu Ren Kuang and Xia Xiaochan. Han Fei couldn't help asking, President, do you think there is any way to improve it? Old Bai pondered for a moment. The War Soul Bao technique seems to consume a lot of spiritual energy, but it works well in team combat. It may come in handy in the unknown place that we're about to go to. The Million Knife art lacks a bit of knife intent. If you can integrate even a little bit of knife intent into it, its power will be incomparable. Han Fei's eyes flashed. He didn't think about it, mainly because there are too many knives in the Million Knife art. It's not a simple thing to integrate knife intent. But since Old Bai said so, I can give it a try. Old Bai suddenly asked, Han Fei, do you have any insights in deducing techniques? Being asked by Old Bai, Han Fei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Did Old Bai see through it? Han Fei chuckled. Yes, it seems that a little bit. When I was cultivating, I always felt a little uncomfortable, so I would modify it a little by myself. Old Bai was stunned. You just modified it casually and it was suitable for you? Han Fei nodded. Of course. President, I'm not bragging, but I have a sixth sense. I actually have a sixth sense. My sixth sense? BM. Han Fei was slapped away. Old Bai didn't listen to him at all. He said helplessly, I'll give you a day to see if you can figure out something different. Come to me at this time tomorrow. Han Fei was thrown to the entrance of the cave by Old Bai. He was a little speechless. Old Bai didn't even give him a tree house to sleep in. Han Fei simply sat in the cave. He hadn't noticed before, but it seemed that none of his combat skills were actually perfect. It was just that because the level of his combat skills was too high or his combat power was too strong, it gave others an illusion that he had cultivated all his combat skills to the extreme. Han Fei was trying to deduce the million knife art. Among all the commonly used combat skills at present, only the million knife art was still demon-level high quality. His original consideration was that the main reason why the million knife art was demon-level high quality was that the weapon was rare. Moreover, it had extremely high requirements for spiritual power. Putting aside this factor, the million knife art itself was definitely not as simple as demon-level high quality. If he continued to deduce it, the requirements for the million knife art would probably be even higher. Han Fei felt that he might not be able to meet its requirements. Forget it, let's wait a little longer. At this time, Han Fei didn't think about whether to deduce the million knife art or not. His eyes fell on the knife intent and the knife realm. What was knife intent? Olbai said that knife intent and knife realm were the same thing. Were they really the same thing? The intent was the realm, and the realm was the realm. It seemed that they were really the same thing. However, it was said in the Saber scripture that the way of a knife was the way of man. In fact, everything was the same. Not only the knife, but also the people who used the sword. The way of the sword was the way of man. Different people walked different paths, so the concepts they summed up were different. This was also what the Saber scripture said. 100 people used 100 knives, but the knife intent was very different. If one could really comprehend his own exclusive realm, it would not be a realm, but a way commonly known as the way of a knife. Han Fei felt a headache coming on. What could he possibly learn in one day? After sitting for an hour, Han Fei still couldn't figure it out. Thus, he slipped out of the cave and ran into the library. Liren Kuang was flipping through books. He had read more than 5 armor art books. He turned over a pile of books. Han Fei was speechless. Kuang, can you finish reading them? Liren Kuang shrugged. No, I can't. Find a few of the best ones, and then read the rest for reference. Read them all. They all have something in common anyway. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Then wait a minute. I'll read them with you. After a while, Han Fei also found nearly 20 books on knife techniques and sat next to Liren Kuang to read. Liren Kuang looked dumbfounded. Why are you reading so many knives? I also have a knife here. Can I lend it to you? Go away. I'm reading. It only took Han Fei an hour to flip through all the books. He found that everyone had a different concept of using knives. Some people thought that knives were killing skills. They should be sharp and full of killing intent. Some people said that knives were dominating weapons, and there was no regret in using knives. In the way of knives, victory or defeat was only determined by life and death. Some people said that knives were just weapons, and it depended on what state the user was in. Different states were different knives, which could be domineering, sharp, or gentle. Gentle? I use knives to fight. If I'm gentle, how can I fight? Until Han Fei turned to a combat skill book, which was written by a girl who used a knife. She said that the knife of emotion was the best for killing. Domineering was unparalleled, gloomy was sad, and extreme joy was fearless. It was changeable because of emotions. This is interesting. Chapter 557. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan finally walked 20 kilometers with 4 big stones on their backs. At this moment, the two of them were hiding on the top of the mountain and whispering. Ling Yuan said with certainty, I have a feeling that senior brother Han Fei and the others will have a miserable life in the future. Chu Jinan wondered why. I saw senior brother Han Fei carrying 4 stones very easily just now, and he seemed to have a fight with the principal just now. However, he must have been beaten badly. Ling Yuan sneered. Are you stupid? They are all going to the unknown place. Don't you know what kind of place it is? It was said that not many of those who went there could return. It's good to be beaten badly. Chu Jinan still didn't believe it. But senior brother and senior sister are very powerful. Although the teacher didn't tell us, I'm afraid they have made a lot of noise in the level 3 fishery. Ling Yuan said, Put your ear closer. Chu Jinan obediently put his ear closer. Chu Jinan looked at Ling Yuan in astonishment. Really? Ling Yuan scoffed. Why would I lie to you? So, Senior brother must have a lot of enemies. If they go to the unknown place like this, the teacher and the principal will definitely be very worried. Then during this period of time, they will definitely train them to death, just like how they trained us to death back then. What are you two whispering about? While the two were muttering, they saw Han Fei chewing small dried fish on a big stone tens of meters above them. Looking at them, both of them were shocked. Why didn't they notice Han Fei when he was already behind them? Chu Jinan hurriedly said, "Senior brother, we have moved the stones back." Ling Yuan said cautiously, "Senior brother, you didn't hear anything just now, did you?" Han Fei smiled weirdly. "I heard everything." "Ah." Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan looked at each other and didn't speak. Han Fei didn't explain anything, and his expression suddenly became serious. "Chu Jinan, as a manipulator, you don't have any vigilance at all. I'm already next to you, but you don't have any reaction at all." "Yes, senior brother, you're right." Han Fei pretended to be teachable and said to Ling Yuan, "And you, Ling Yuan, don't listen to those irrelevant rumors outside." "Yes, senior brother." Han Fei jumped down from the rock, broke a twig, and said, "Yes." "Senior brother, I see that you guys are always slacking off. This can't go on. Well, I'll suppress my strength to that of an advanced great fishing master and spar with you." Ling Yuan craned her head. "Are we going to use contractual spiritual beasts?" She wanted to say that she wouldn't fight with her contractual spiritual beasts. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp was too fierce to fight at all. Han Fei shook his head. "I don't need it. I'll fight you with this twig." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but be tempted, although they were safe and sound in school. In fact, when they went to the Blue Sea Arena, they were famous for being fierce. Just like when Han Fei and the others went to the Blue Sea Arena, many people almost called him Daddy. If one wanted to become a powerhouse, one naturally had to have a fearless heart. Therefore, both Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan readily agreed when they heard that Han Fei didn't need a contractual spiritual beast. After all, they were all advanced, great fishing masters. It was hard to say who was stronger and who was weaker. However, Ling Yuan still asked, "Senior brother, although your realm is suppressed to that of an advanced great fishing master, your physique is still at the level of a dangling fisher. How can we win?" Han Fei smiled. "Win? What do you mean? Let's fight for an hour first." Ling Yuan? Chu Jinan? Han Fei suddenly looked up at the sky with a melancholy look on his face. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were still puzzled when they saw the twig in Han Fei's hand was suddenly filled with spiritual energy, as if it had become a sharp, long knife. Ling Yuan shouted, "Nan, do it!" Chu Jinan's reaction was very fast. The sea god grass suddenly burst out, covering all the rocks within dozens of meters, and countless seaweeds tried to entangle Han Fei's body. Swish! Han Fei waved his hand casually, and the sea god grass on the ground was cut open more than 3 meters long, and a branch was cut by him with a cold knife light. Copy. A mass of sea god grass quickly turned into a human shape and seemed to become Han Fei's appearance. Huh, what a weird combat skill. However, Han Fei didn't have an opponent, so he held the branch in his hand and stared at the grass doll. The latter actually used the exact same move as him. Unfortunately, Han Fei couldn't simulate what he had fused into his knife. So, with only 3 slashes, the grass doll was split into 3 pieces by Han Fei. At this moment, in Ling Yuan's armor box, 7 swords hung in the sky, rushing at Han Fei from all directions. Han Fei put one hand behind his back and held the branch in the other, waving it and looking very melancholy. However, none of the 7 swords could fall on Han Fei. But Han Fei frowned. Something's wrong. Why can't I transmit my emotions? Why can't I transmit them? Han Fei suddenly grinned and shouted, "Hey, junior brothers and junior sisters, attack with all your strength, or I won't show mercy to you." Clank, clank, clank. Ling Yuan made 2 more slashes, and the hilts of the swords connected, spinning like a wheel, rushing straight at Han Fei. This was the most typical combat skill armorist. Han Fei pointed the long knife in his hand, and a kind of indomitable knife intent filled the branch. Bam! The 2 swords flew horizontally. Ling Yuan was very shocked. It was just a simple stab. Why was it so powerful? 7 swords in one. Swish, swish, swish. The amazing sword momentum stabbed at Han Fei, and the speed was so fast that sword light suddenly appeared. There seemed to be a special charm in it, which seemed to coincide with the understanding of sword intent. Han Fei screamed, "Good, watch me draw my knife." The next moment, the 7 swords were blown away, and Ling Yuan was shaken dozens of meters away, her eyes full of disbelief. 1 hour later, Ling Yuan lay on the ground. "Stop, senior brother, stop." Chu Jinan sat on the ground. "Senior brother, why is your branch so powerful? I feel it's stronger than magic weapons." Han Fei didn't seem to hear what they said, but looked at the branch in his hand, murmuring, No, emotions don't work. I naturally integrated my momentum, domineering, indomitable, fierce, with absolute confidence. This is what they haven't comprehended yet. How can they be my opponents?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head, pointed his fingers, and 2 pillars of spiritual energy poured into the bodies of the two. Han Fei said, "Come on, I'll fight you with the strength of an intermediate great fishing master." At dinner, Lu Renquang was preparing dinner, and Luo Xiaobai and Xia Xiaochan were helping him. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan ran to the kitchen like crazy, and Chu Jinan shouted, "Senior brother, it's time to eat." "Can we eat first?" Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, let's take a break. Don't use the same moves again and again." Han Fei chased after the 2 of them. "Don't go. I'll fight you with the strength of a junior great fishing master." "It's really too junior." Xia Xiaochan wondered, what's wrong with them? When did they get along so well? "I don't understand." It seems that Han Fei asked Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan to carry stones. Lu Renquang asked, "Isn't Han Fei reading books with me in the library in the afternoon?" The next day, when Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he was slapped away by Old Bai. Old Bai said, "No, it's too complicated. I asked you to comprehend knife intent, not to add everything to it. You have to understand what is most suitable for you and what it feels like when you fight with others." As a result, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were even more unlucky. The 2 of them were whipped by Han Fei with a branch for a day. On the 3rd day, when Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he grinned. "When I fight with others, I only have one word for it. Cool." Then, Han Fei flew away again. Old Bai said, "Cool my **s. Take it seriously. What kind of road do you want to cut with a knife in your hand?" So Han Fei caught Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan in the rubble. From time to time, a strange knife light swept all the way, cutting a road, and all the obstacles along the way were blown away. Chu Jinan said with a sad face, "Senior brother, I am a manipulator. If I am not a soul warrior, can you find senior brother you to fight with you?" Han Fei said, "Cut the crap. I found that you don't have many fighting skills. Let me teach you." Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, I've checked. You have already comprehended knife intent. Although you have reduced your strength, you are still fighting with us. Don't be like this." Han Fei said, "Shut up. The level 3 fishery is full of monsters. You can't even resist this little knife intent. Why do you want to go to the level 3 fishery? Come on, I won't bully you, as long as you can take this knife. Oh no, as long as you could take a branch from me." Ling Yuan second, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 558. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were not free until half a month later. In the past half a month, they didn't even fight in the arena, but were beaten by Han Fei from morning to night in the school. It was useless to cry or ask for help. No one cared about them at all. Today, the 5 of them were taken out of the school by Old Bai, and Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were finally liberated. When the 2 of them were having breakfast, they almost cried with joy. A fight was only called a fight if the opponent was evenly matched. If the strength was seriously unbalanced, it was called abuse. They felt that they had been abused for half a month. That kind of mental torture, even Chu Jinan, who was usually very obedient, was about to collapse. Chu Jinan even said that he would beat Han Fei to the ground in the future. Not to mention whether Chu Jinan's words could be realized. In the past half a month, this kid's courage had been abruptly tempered by Han Fei. That was something that couldn't be helped. If they rushed up to fight, they would still be beaten. If they acted like a coward, they would still be beaten. Anyway, he would be beaten anyway, so Chu Jinin finally went all out. However, the result of risking everything was that he was still beaten, which made him very sad. After breakfast, Chu Jinin said to Ling Yuan, "I want to go to the arena." Ling Yuan nodded seriously. "I want to go too. I feel like I've been holding it in for half a month." Chu Jinin nodded in agreement. "Me too." This was the martial arts field in the center of the Blue Sea town. The building was tall, and the field was spacious. Rows of thick stone pillars were dozens of meters high, but the ground was not so good. There were potholes everywhere, as if it had been through a long battle. As a town's martial arts field, its purpose was not for ordinary people to come here to practice, but for large-scale activities. It mainly included the selection of some social talents, the assessment of the managers of the floating island, multi-school joint competitions, etc. This time, the 4 academies were all here. The presidents of the other 3 academies had brought teams of nearly dozens of people. These people were mainly the group of people who had been training in the Blazing Mountain. Everyone was familiar with each other, or at least familiar with each other. "Huh, did they add some people?" Zhang Xuanyu said. "Some of them seem a little old." Wen Rinyu, "During this year, there are only about 200 people left to participate in the Flaming Mountain Trial. Naturally, some of the top students in the school will be promoted to participate. But the minimum requirement is the dangling Fisher realm. So, some senior students naturally came in. There are no grades in our school." Wen Rinyu is speechless. "There are 7 of you in total. What grade are you divided into?" At this moment, many people were looking at them, especially Han Fei. He attracted many people's attention. Han Fei made such a big noise in the level 3 fishery that they had to know about it. Most of the people who came here today were dangling fishers, and only a few great fishing masters were among them. These great fishing masters didn't come here to go to the unknown place. They were just called here by their teachers to see the world. He Xiaoyu, Xiao Wushuang, and the others were among them. At this moment, they were standing at the edge, so they did not have a chance to appear. Han Fei felt a scorching gaze in the crowd, which seemed to want to kill him. No one knew how miserable Li Hani's life was in the level 3 fishery. Xiang Zuozhua and the others spent most of their time on dragon boats or searching for secret realms. Li Hani was different. He was quite talented and had been to many dangerous places. But obviously, luck really varied from person to person. For several times, Li Hani felt that he was about to be killed, but suddenly a chance appeared. For example, after Han Fei came out of the steps into the sea that day and was exposed, everyone chased him. Then, they forgot that he was on the steps into the sea, which allowed him to narrowly escape. But he hated Han Fei bitterly. If it weren't for this be asterisk starred, he might have obtained a greater opportunity now. Xia Xiaochan poked Han Fei with her finger and whispered, "I think we should have killed him at that time." Han Fei grinned. "It's okay. He has been ruthlessly crushed by us." The 5 people, including the presidents of the 3 academies, Old Bai, and the mayor, were standing in the center at the moment, talking. Wu Junwei asked, "Didn't your Thug Academy advance? Why did you come here?" Old Bai said proudly, "Our school doesn't want to bluff our way through." Su Tianji asked, "Bai Kongyi, do you think this is interesting? Are you asking Han Fei and the others to participate in the competition on the island?" Old Bai said with bright eyes, "Didn't I restrict their strength? They are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, spiritual weapons, or secret techniques. What else do you want?" Chu Mingshu asked, "Are you serious?" Wu Junwei snorted. "Bai Kongyi, you and I both know that they don't have to participate. If your Thug Academy wants to make a name for itself again, wait until the 36th town exchange competition." "What do you mean by taking action now?" Old Bai sneered. "My Thug Academy hasn't even regained its foothold in the Blue Sea town. I don't have a good reason to take action." The 4 presidents were in a stalemate, and finally, the mayor said, "Let's make a compromise and each take a step back. The 3 academies will exchange according to the original plan, and the Thug Academy will stay in the top 5. Old Bai was immediately unhappy. "That won't work. If we don't fight, How can we determine the ranking? The mayor smiled. Olbai, let me finish. Although the Thug Academy won't participate, the 3 academies can challenge them. As long as they win against any one of them, they could be in the top 5. Chu Mengxiu added, spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts are not allowed, and spiritual weapons and secret techniques are not allowed either. Olbai said contemptuously, no problem, but at least 2 people from each of your academies will challenge them. Otherwise, our Thug Academy won't stand there. Wu Junwei and Su Tianji looked at each other and acquiesced. In fact, they also wanted to see how much Han Fei and the others had grown. The rumors in the level 3 fishery were too exaggerated. How could these 5 kids kill the hanging fishers guarding the dragon boat? After a moment, Olbai came back and sighed. I've tried my best, but these people are as timid as mice and won't let us participate in the competition. Lu Rinquang chuckled. It's great that we can enter the top 5 without fighting. Olbai snorted. Bullsh asterisk T, it's great to win. Han Fei asked, hasn't the secret realm of the Fiery Mountain been ranked? Olbai said, that's different. After the competition starts here, there will be spectators. There will be spectators? Everyone looked at each other. So, Olbai, you just want to show off your strength, don't you? Olbai said reluctantly. Forget it. When they compete, let's sit in the nearest place and wait for them to challenge us. Everyone. Han Fei said, President, I think I can go back and comprehend the knife intent. Zhang Xuanyu also nodded. President, it's not good for us to sit and watch them fight, right? Luo Xiaobai asked. Well, President, can I go back to cultivate? Olbai glanced back at them. Who dares to leave? You will represent the Blue Sea Town in the competition. Who dares to leave? Everyone. About half an hour later, many residents of the Blue Sea Town poured into the martial arts field one after another. Everyone was attracted by the qualifiers of the 36-town competition. When the entire martial arts field was full of people, the competition officially began. The rules of the competition were decided by drawing lots, but it had nothing to do with Han Fei and the others. Old Bai and Wan Rinyu sat at the judges' table. The 5 of them were forced by Old Bai to move a stone and sit right below the judges' table in the martial arts arena. As long as they stretched out their feet, they could stand on the field. Many people were speechless. Those guys are from the Thug Academy, right? Why are they sitting on the field? Someone wondered. I haven't heard any news about the Thug legend for a long time. It is said that they went to the level 3 fishery. What are they doing? Someone shouted, Hey, Han Fei and the others, what are you doing in the martial arts field? Someone laughed and said, They can't be treating this as a team competition, right? However, the mayor suddenly coughed. Well, everyone, please be quiet. Before the competition, after the comprehensive evaluation of the 4 academies and me, Han Fei, Xia Xiaochan, Luo Xiaobai, Lu Rinquang, and Zhang Xuanyu from the Thug Academy are directly ranked as the top 5 of this competition and will represent the Blue Sea Town. At the same time, before the mayor finished speaking, there was an uproar in the field. Why? No, the competition hasn't even started. How can they be ranked in the top 5? Half of the top 10 have been occupied. What's the point of the competition? They haven't even fought. We don't recognize them as the top 5. Yes, we don't recognize them. There are clamors all over the field, insisting that Han Fei and the others participate in the competition. They heard the mayor shout, Silence. All of you. Listen to me. All students from the 3 academies can challenge any of the top 5 students at any time, and the winner will be directly ranked in the top 5. The number of challenges is unlimited. Also, according to our comprehensive evaluation, Han Fei and the others are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, secret methods, spiritual weapons, etc. In the face of challenges, these 5 people must accept the challenge and cannot shirk it. The author said, Let me explain first. Don't read the bright list alone. It's not the top 10 on the day before the event. The top 10 on a single day is useless. I mean the top 10 after the event, which will be listed after the end of the 27th. Also, don't rush me to update. I've been out for a few days. If I write too fast, it will affect the plot. Besides, is the 3rd chapter slow? It's all tears. My hands are broken. I'm crying. End of this chapter. Chapter 559. The audience was stunned. What the hell is this? The people of the 3 academies can challenge the 5 of them at any time and also restrict them from using their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Someone said in surprise, "Wait, how strong are these people from the thug legend? Why do they have such outrageous rules?" Someone wondered, are they so strong that they are invincible among the young generation in the Blue Sea town? Someone said with certainty, there must be something wrong. Maybe they are really strong. There were also a few people who came back from the level 3 fishery with bitter smiles. If you knew the achievements of these people in the level 3 fishery, you would be scared to death. Someone sighed secretly. How could the top 5 of the wanted list in the level 3 fishery be comparable to them? However, some people also suspected that if they couldn't even use their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts, then the gap between them would be huge. For example, one was an intermediate dangling fisher, and the other was close to an advanced or even a peak-level dangling fisher. While the other couldn't use anything, the gap in strength would be immediately widened. There was a lot of noise in the martial arts field, but as the game began, the noise gradually faded away. At least for the time being, no one had chosen to challenge the people from the Thug Academy. 2 hours later, Han Fei and the others were so bored that they almost fell asleep. Han Fei and Lurin Kwong were next to each other, chewing snacks such as dried fish and potato chips from time to time. "Crack, crack," Luo Xiaobai said with a black face. "You too. Pay attention to your image." Han Fei said, "Don't worry about our image. We have been regarded as iron-head fish. What image do we have?" Xia Xiaochan held a dagger in one hand and spun it in circles. She was so fast that only the hilt could be seen, but the blade could not be seen. Zhang Xuanyu even sat cross-legged on a stone, holding several books in his hands and studying them. Recently, he seemed to have learned a lot of new things from Xiao Zhan, so he had merged the 9-layered waves in the Furious Sea into one, but he still needed to find a way to advance. On the martial arts field, the battle didn't last very long, especially when the opponent was an armorist. Then, the fight would be very slow. At this moment, Li Hani had defeated many people along the way. In the level 3 fishery, he might not be qualified, but in the Blue Sea town, he was still the shining star. Especially now that this guy had learned many offensive combat skills, not just defense, so when he fought, he would appear to be even more ferocious. At this time, Li Hani had killed the 9th opponent. Suddenly, Li Han shouted, "Han Fei, I want to challenge you." Buzz. Everyone in the martial arts practice field was shocked. Someone shouted, Good job. Those 5 little bastards have been sitting there and eating dried fish for 4 hours. I'm so hungry. Whoa, finally, someone's going to challenge them. I can't wait. Don't be afraid. They won't let us use our spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Don't be afraid. Let's kill them. There was a reason why Li Hani challenged Han Fei. Of course, he knew that Han Fei was strong, very strong. When Han Fei pretended to be Fan Datong, he was only an intermediate dangling fisher. He didn't need a contractual spiritual beast or a spiritual beast, but he used a secret method. This time, neither secret methods nor spiritual weapons were allowed to be used. Han Fei only had the strength of an advanced dangling fisher, so he thought it was worth a try. With a swish, Han Fei stood up from the stone. He had almost fallen asleep. Seeing that Li Hani actually challenged him, he immediately beamed with joy. Finally, he could fight. Li Hani didn't know that Han Fei was more keen on fighting recently. If he knew very well about the Thug Academy and knew that Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan had been beaten crazy by Han Fei with twigs in the past half-month, he might not have challenged Han Fei. Han Fei leaped forward and jumped into the martial arts practice field. He took out a twig casually. "Hey, let me tell you, I've tolerated you for a long time. You are too narrow-minded and narrow-minded. How can you achieve great things?" Li Hani, the audience. Li Hani said angrily, "Han Fei, don't slander me. You shameless bastard. I'll have to teach you a lesson today." With that, a high-quality battle suit appeared on Li Hani's body. Immediately afterward, he pressed the armor box on the ground, and a high-quality spiritual weapon appeared in front of Lihani. Two high-quality spiritual weapons were all Lihani had gained in the level 3 fishery. Originally, he had more, but because he was impersonated by Han Fei, he didn't know how many times he had been robbed. In the end, he was so poor that he could only go back to the Blue Sea town by fishing. In the martial arts practice field, Lihani's preparation was far more than that. A big conch phantom appeared, and his spiritual beast, the mountain-carrying conch, directly fused with it. Besides, he also found a shell that Han Fei had never seen before as his contractual spiritual beast. This shell had a sharp metal aura. It seemed to be a type of shell with an offensive nature. Han Fei shook the twig in his hand and injected spiritual energy into it. Immediately, knife light overflowed from the twig. In the judges' seats, Chu Mingxue glanced at Old Bai. Knife intent? Wu Jun frowned slightly and said, Lihani's strongest defense. Even if he found an offensive contractual spiritual beast, it is still offensive and defensive. If Han Fei wants to defeat him with a twig in the same realm, unless he has comprehended the real knife intent. Su Qianji coughed. Old Bai, isn't this a bit too much? Old Bai sneered. What do you know about knife intent? This kind of artistic conception is different for everyone. Who told you that Han Fei has comprehended knife intent? Chu Mingxue said, Impossible. If he hasn't comprehended it, how can he win? Outside the martial arts practice field, many people couldn't help rubbing their heads. Someone was stunned. Isn't this a bit unfair? Lihani is armed to the teeth. Was Han Fei holding his hand? A twig? Someone frowned. How can he win with a twig? No matter how strong Han Fei is, he can't break the mountain-carrying conch with a twig, can he? While people were still talking, Lihani had already started to attack. A small spiritual energy arrow shot through the air at Han Fei, and it was not weak at all. It was the power of an advanced dangling fisher. Lihani asked, Han Fei, how can you win if you don't use anything? Han Fei held the twig in his hand, and at the moment the spiritual energy arrow fell, he threw it casually. Wherever the dazzling saber light swept past, the small spirit light arrow would instantly shatter into pieces. Lihani hurriedly threw out dozens of spiritual energy arrows, but they couldn't catch Han Fei's casual throw. Mountain-carrying armor shield. The ground protruded, and a stone steel shield emerged from the ground, and at the same time, pieces of crystal armor wrapped Lihani. The sword in his hand, surrounded by the broken stones on the ground, grew bigger and bigger, and finally became a real 10-meter-long sword. Boom! Gotcha! The stone wall shattered with a crash, and Han Fei's knife still had a trace of power left, but it fell on the crystal armor shield and couldn't move forward anymore. At this moment, the giant sword had already stabbed straight at Han Fei. The audience was stunned. Many people wondered if the thing in Han Fei's hand was a F***king branch. How could a branch cut out such a domineering knife light? At this moment, when the giant sword took shape, its power was even vaguely comparable to Lu Renquang's bloodthirsty broadsword, and its power had surpassed the full blow of an ordinary peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei didn't doubt the power of this sword. It seemed that Lihani was indeed enchanted. The price of this sword was not small. If the blow failed, Lihani was likely to suffer a backlash. But what did it have to do with him whether Lihani was injured or not? Han Fei pulled out a few branches casually, as if he were juggling, and the audience didn't even feel that Han Fei had exerted any force. However, such an ordinary attack was bombarded by the giant sword domineeringly. Crack, crack, crack. The stone giant sword was breaking inch by inch, and it couldn't even move forward a bit, which made Lihani full of horror. Lihani was stunned. Impossible, you are also an advanced dangling fisher. How could it be possible? In the judges' seats, except for Old Bai, even the mayor was a little dumbfounded. Suddenly, the mayor said, Did he? Old Bai grinned and said, Haha, this kid claims that he wants to comprehend knife intent, but he doesn't even know what knife intent is. He was fooling around and accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent. He's really stupid and can't be taught. Everyone. At that time, the faces of the three presidents were all black. They just want to punch old Bai in the face. What did he mean by comprehending knife intent? He accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent. What was the art of invincibility? They had only heard a little about it, but none of them had seen it. You tell me, this kid has comprehended the art of invincibility? The mayor's face darkened. I'm already a hidden fisher, but I haven't seen the art of invincibility, but a student has comprehended it. Are you mocking us? Crack! With the sound of the shield armor breaking, Li Hani had fallen to the ground with his head up. Han Fei frowned and shook the small branch in his hand again. No. Why is the knife intent getting less and less in the end? No, I have to go back and try with Chu Jin in and Ling Yuan. Chapter 560. There was dead silence inside and outside the martial arts field. Many people's eyes almost popped out and their faces were full of disbelief. Someone asked, "Brother, have we been fooled? Why do I feel that Han Fei's knife light is still at the level of an advanced dangling fisher?" The person who was asked said in a daze, "Brother, you're right. My judgment is the same as yours. The knife light itself doesn't seem to have become stronger." Someone said in disbelief, "This is a paradox. How can he break Li Hani's mountain-carrying conch without any improvement in combat power?" Too many people outside the field were shocked, including Li Hani himself, who was also full of disbelief. When Li Hani was dragged to the rest area, Xiang Zuozhua and the others had already surrounded him. Did Han Fei cheat? Lin Xingmu cast a healing technique on Li Hani while frowning. I don't think he cheated. The knife light seems to be more than knife light. There seems to be something weird in it. Xiang Zuozhua nodded. That's true. I have a feeling that I'm also a little tempted after seeing him attack. Zhong Yu added, "Not just you, I also have this feeling." Xiang Zuozhua asked, "Then should I also challenge him? I think it will be inspiring for me." Everyone was stunned. Should we? It seems that we can't resist Han Fei's casual attacks, just now. He Xiaoyu and the others who had been watching from the sidelines were also dumbfounded. Xiao Wushuang gasped. "Last time when we were in the deep-sea jungle, Han Fei seemed to use his fists, right? I felt that punch almost suffocated me. It was terrifying to the extreme. How could he use the branches like this today?" Wang Baiyu added, "I always feel that something is wrong. It's too stable. Did you notice that when Han Fei swept his knife, the spiritual energy didn't dissipate at all? Does this make sense?" Xiang then scratched his head. "It doesn't make sense. Even our teacher can't make such a knife light." He Xiaoyu said contemptuously, "Your teacher is much weaker than Han Fei now." This was the truth. The teachers of the three academies were not necessarily strong, and they didn't have to be strong to teach. So far, there was still a large number of great fishing master teachers teaching freshmen. Even among the senior teachers, only a few had reached the realm of advanced dangling fishers, and few of them were peak-level dangling fishers. Think about it. If one really became a peak-level dangling fisher, who would want to be a teacher? They were all pursuing the path of cultivation. No matter what, it's better than being a teacher, right? Then, a strange phenomenon occurred in the battle. The ranking competition is actually very easy. Everybody is here to make a show and show the people of the Blue Sea Town how excellent the students of our school are. Old Bai also saw this point, so he ordered them to come over to play the game. Now, as soon as Han Fei showed up, all his bragging was gone. All the praises were focused on Han Fei. Therefore, Xiang Zuozhua was the second one to challenge Han Fei. Unfortunately, she was defeated after only 3 strikes. After returning to the resting area, the first thing Xiang Zuozhua said was, "There's momentum. There's a mysterious momentum in his saber gleam, but I have no idea how he blended it in." Kong Yunfei challenged Han Fei, but he still only blocked 3 strikes and was defeated again. Kong Yunfei was surrounded by people and only said one sentence, "Domineering. His saber is too domineering." After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. How could the stable saber gleam be related to domineering? Then, except for Han Fei and his team, almost all the top 10 people challenged Han Fei. Some people really felt it. For example, Qin Wuyin. He said, "In Han Fei's saber gleam, there's a sharpness other than the gung metal saber chi, which is very mysterious." Some people didn't feel it, but they had to say something after the battle, right? So the person bragged, I see, there's a strong killing intent in his saber. So this person was beaten up by the crowd. Not to mention they couldn't understand it. Even Zhang Xuanyu and the others didn't understand it, including the presidents at the judges' table. Maybe they had a deeper understanding of it. However, this kind of thing was too mysterious, and even a user would only have that feeling when using it. If you asked him to say it, he wouldn't be able to describe it. This was impossible. Under the attention of the crowd, Old Bai proudly led Han Fei and the others back to school. Before leaving, everyone looked at Han Fei, their eyes full of wonder and curiosity. However, Old Bai pretended to be profound and didn't point it out, letting others get excited. So, along the way, President Bai, can the Thug Academy lower the enrollment standard a little next year? President Bai, I have money, and my son Zhang Tong has the aptitude of a hidden fisher. Can he go to the Thug Academy? President Bai, does your school accept auditing students? I am willing to pay 100,000 mid-quality pearls. President Bai, Elder Bai ignored these people and walked out of the martial arts practice field with his head held high. After going out, Zhang Xuanyu said helplessly, President, so you just came here to show off, right? Liu Renquang nodded repeatedly. It must be. The point is, why didn't those people choose us? Old Bai said meaningfully, it's mainly because they were attracted by Han Fei's saber gleam. Han Fei, can you understand what kind of saber gleam you created? Han Fei was taken aback. He kind of understood, but he didn't seem to understand. So Han Fei forced himself to brag. The main thing is that I found a very important problem. We just burst out things like spiritual energy, but spiritual energy is spiritual energy after all. But spiritual chi was spiritual chi after all. Although it was ever-changing due to battle tactics, it was still spiritual chi in the end. So, I added my immortal spirit, domineering momentum, noble character, invincible faith, and unyielding will. Bam! Everyone saw Han Fei draw a perfect arc in the sky and fly away. Old Bai's face was black. How did you teach such a thing? Speaking nonsense with a straight face, it seems like it can only be a coincidence. But Old Bai said to Han Fei, who ran back with a gloomy face, although you seem to have cultivated your saber to a very wonderful state now, there is a big problem. But there's a big problem. Your saber won't grow with your strength unless your invincible fighting will is strengthened again. Otherwise, this kind of saber will be fixed and has a lot of limitations. With the improvement of your realm, it's easy to be surpassed. Han Fei said indifferently, I just need to be powerful now. Old Bai snorted. You have to be powerful all the time to understand this saber technique. 2 days ago, when Old Bai saw Han Fei use this kind of saber life for the first time, he was suddenly shocked, because he found a kind of saber technique that didn't require any realm at all. Although Han Fei was full of nonsense, he was right about one thing. He didn't know why he integrated an invincible faith into his saber. It was reasonable to say that faith was just pure spiritual will, but this kind of power actually restrained the saber intent. Not only did it restrain the saber intent, but it also prevented the escape of spiritual energy, forming a mysterious thing on the saber light. Not only did the others not understand, but even Old Bai himself didn't understand it. He could only see this much, so he was more willing to believe that this was just something Han Fei accidentally made. So when Han Fei made this kind of saber light, Old Bai suggested that Han Fei could also use the million knife art to make this feeling. But so far, Han Fei had not succeeded. In Han Fei's words, he still needed the help of Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. 10 days later, there were still 3 days before Han Fei and the others went to another town to participate in the exchange competition. 3 days later, they had to go to a place called the Wind Thunder Town. At this time, in the back mountain, Zhang Xuanyu shouted excitedly, Come on, Ling Yuan, dodge, use the sword rain, kill him, kill him. Liu Renquang was next to him, stuffing dried fish into his mouth and shouting, Junior brother, quickly turn into grass, entangle him, don't let go. Ling Yuan, protect your body with spiritual energy and use the shield as a weapon. Fight with the shield. In the forest battlefield in the back mountain, Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were evenly matched with Han Fei. This time, under the strong request of everyone, Han Fei was forced to suppress his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. It would be too much if he suppressed his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. Facing the joint suppression of two advanced great fishing masters, even if Han Fei's saber was very strong, his reaction was not as fast as theirs. Under his feet, there had already been a sea of seaweed. Han Fei didn't dodge. His body was entangled by seaweed, and the small branch in his hand was grabbed by the seaweed. Ling Yuan was even more direct. She took out her saber and sword and slapped at Han Fei. Anyway, she couldn't kill Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu said excitedly, "Haha, Fei, you're finally going to lose." Han Fei said angrily, "Go away, I still have a unique skill." Xia Xiaochan looked unconvinced. "You've run out of tricks. Do you think Xiaonan and Ling Yuan are ordinary advanced great fishing masters?" Han Fei was very annoyed at the moment. He had been entangled like this for almost half an hour. In the past, it was he who abused Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, but this time he was going to be abused by his junior brother and junior sister. Because his speed was too slow, he was suppressed everywhere. Even if he waved his saber, he found that he couldn't cut anyone and could only barely protect himself. "No, I'm too slow. What should I do? How can I speed up when my realm is the same?" Suddenly, Han Fei thought of something. Right, the void-breaking technique. The saber in Han Fei's hand flashed, broke the sea god grass, and waved the branch in his hand. Ling Yuan shouted, "Senior brother, just admit defeat. Your trick is useless." However, at the moment when Ling Yuan shouted, she saw a cold flash in front of her eyes, and Han Fei's saber had already appeared in front of her. Chu Jinan was dumbfounded. "How is it possible?" Xia Xiaochan suddenly exclaimed, "Shadowless blade." "Han Fei, how dare you steal my shadowless blade?" Second, please vote. End of this chapter. Chapter 561. When Han Fei's knife light pierced through the void, everyone knew it was over. Xia Xiaochan dragged Zhang Xuanyu and Luren Kuang and said, "Don't try to run away. Pay up." Yes, under the strong persuasion of Zhang Xuanyu and Luren Kuang, Han Fei suppressed his realm to that of a junior great fishing master. So the two of them gambled with Xia Xiaochan and bet 10,000 mid-quality pearls. Zhang Xuanyu patted his thigh and sighed. "Nan, why didn't you stop Han Fei just now?" Luren Kuang said with a sad face, "Ling Yuan, your armor technique is not good enough. Your attack is too weak. You should beat him. Chu Jinan was about to cry. "I've already used all my strength. The sea god grass has never been so powerful. I almost drowned Han Fei, okay? But his knife light is so powerful. Can you blame me?" Ling Yuan was also tossed to the ground and sat down. No more. Senior brother, you are bullying me. You stole senior sister Xiaochan's shadowless blade." Luo Xiaobai said, "No, it's not the shadowless blade. It's the 1,000-mile fishing technique." Of course, Luo Xiaobai didn't participate in their gamble. To be honest, she was very satisfied with Chu Jinan's performance just now. The sea god grass was used to the extreme, entangling, attacking, replicating, and paralyzing, which greatly limited Han Fei's movements. If it weren't for Han Fei's weird knife-drawing method at the end, Chu Jinan and the others would have almost won at this moment. Everyone was taken aback. "The 1,000-mile fishing technique?" Zhang Xuanyu said in astonishment. "No way. Although I haven't understood it yet, the 1,000-mile fishing technique used by dangling fishers seems to only be able to break a space point, right?" Luren Kuang nodded repeatedly. Yes. How can such a big knife light be the 1,000-mile fishing technique?" Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei with bright eyes. "Is it really not the shadowless blade?" Han Fei lowered his head and his body trembled slightly. Zhang Xuanyu waved his hand and said, Fei, what's wrong with you?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head and laughed loudly. "Ha! Old bye. Then with a swish, Han Fei rushed to the school gate. Everyone's hearts stirred, and they hurriedly said, "Let's go and take a look." Old Bai was eating strawberries. Hearing Han Fei shout, he couldn't help but sneer, his face full of disdain. Wen Renyu and Xiao Zhan were alarmed. At this moment, he flew into the sky and was looking at the door. Han Fei rushed to Old Bai and was still hundreds of meters away, but he suddenly roared and launched the sacrificing punch. The huge flame fist suddenly disappeared, but the next second, the fist mark had already appeared in front of Old Bai. Old Bai hurriedly clenched the sacrificing punch and the recliner under his but had been crushed into pieces. However, his reaction speed was still extremely fast. The moment he touched the sacrificing punch, a defense array had already appeared. The formation time could be calculated in milliseconds. Crushing Han Fei's fist, Old Bai said with a dark face, "What are you doing? You broke the chair, did you see that? Hurry up and make me a new one that can swing." Han Fei didn't care at all. President, look, this is my latest skill. Isn't it very powerful?" With that said, Han Fei grabbed a small branch and slashed it a few times. As a result, a knife light appeared 100 meters away. When Han Fei slashed, Xia Xiaochan flashed over, and when the knife light came out, she exclaimed, "It's not the shadowless blade, but it doesn't look like the 1,000-mile fishing technique either." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan follow behind, only feeling that this senior brother was simply a devil. If he had played like this at the beginning, even if he had suppressed his strength by 2 small realms, they still wouldn't have been able to beat him. At this time, the two only felt that their lives were full of frustration. In the arena, they were the twin stars of the Thug Academy. In the school, they were like abused little animals, delicate and pitiful. Han Fei was very excited about his epiphany. He suddenly realized, why couldn't knives, swords, and fists break through the air like fishhooks? So he tried it with the void-breaking technique. He wouldn't know if he didn't try, but he was shocked when he did. It could instantly make up for the disadvantage in speed when the sacrificing punch was condensed and restore 70% of Ren Tianfei's original combat ability. It was indeed gratifying. Xiao Zhan landed from the sky and looked at Han Fei for a while. Walking to the place where Han Fei's knife light had just swept, he was slightly surprised. Wen Renyu was slightly surprised. "Have you completely mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. However, it was not that far. It used to be about 5 kilometers long, but it should be a little longer now." Old Bai snorted slightly and said, "This place is less than 30 kilometers away from the Bulkong pit. Try hooking one." Han Fei didn't understand, but since Old Bai said so, Han Fei took out his fishing rod and tried it. However, as Han Fei waved the fishing hook, it fell 20 kilometers away and failed to catch the hexagon starfish. At this moment, the hexagon starfish was enjoying the bull conk's massage and didn't realize that someone was trying to seduce it. "Xiao Zhan, son of AB asterisk T-Sich." Old Bai scoffed. "You're not. Forget it. Is this your luck again?" Han Fei was puzzled. "Huh? What luck? I'm just not very proficient now. When I'm proficient, I'll definitely catch it." But Old Bai shook his head and said, "I thought you had mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique, but it turns out not. You just tore that point open." "Everyone," Old Bai said, "the ability you comprehended is not new, but it's a bit rare. The reason why it's not new is that the combat skill or ability you comprehended is called air-breaking strike. Under normal circumstances, as long as you become a hidden fisher, you'll be able to master it." Han Fei's eyes lit up. "That's enough. Isn't it great that I know what a hidden fisher can do now?" Old Bai said lightly, "The combat skill itself is not special at all, but I don't know if your cultivation method is wrong, but you can actually open such a big space hole. This is the key. If the space hole is small, this combat skill is basically useless. But you open such a big hole, so the result is not bad." Lu Renquang scratched his belly and said, "What do you mean?" Wen Renyu explained, "That is to say, the cultivation of the 1,000-mile fishing technique actually involves a little space power, which can make extremely small things such as fishing hooks and fishing lines break through the space, so that they can appear thousands of miles away. But think about it. If you replace the fishing hook with a fist, can you still break through the space? You can't, because the hole is so small that you can't stuff it in at all." With that said, Wen Renyu glanced at Han Fei. Han Fei is equivalent to stuffing his fist in, but this will inevitably cause the distance to be not far. This is why Han Fei tried to hook the hexagon starfish just now, but Han Fei failed. This shows that the longer the distance, the less effective he will be at using this ability. Xiao Zhan didn't care. Who cares? This combat skill is suitable for melee combat. Han Fei, try punching the sky. Let me see how far you can go. Han Fei seemed to understand a little. What Teacher Wenren meant was that the bigger the hole in the air, the shorter the distance would be. But although the distance was short, it was enough for melee combat. What was the advantage of the 1,000-mile fishing technique? It was 1,000 miles in an instant. If this was used in melee combat, it was equivalent to increasing the speed of punching. Han Fei punched again, but this time it was the golden fist mark of the art of invincibility. Han Fei exerted all his strength in this punch, and finally appeared 800 meters away. Xiao Zhan said with joy, Okay. This distance is not short. Han Fei, good job. As soon as Xiao Zhan said that, before he came down from the sky, a dagger appeared in front of him, which really startled him. Puff! Immediately afterward, another dagger appeared 2,000 meters away. Xia Xiaochan waved the dagger in her hand repeatedly. In the end, to everyone's astonishment, the dagger fell at a place about 2,400 meters away. Wow! Xiao Zhan, Wenrinyu, and Old by all took a breath. Wenrinyu immediately said excitedly, Xiaochan, how did you do it? Xia Xiaochan waved the dagger and said, You just said it. I feel a bit like my shadowless blade. You said you integrated the 1,000-mile fishing technique into it, so I tried it. It's quite simple. Xia Xiaochan was also very excited, thinking that Han Fei's idea was good. Old Bai put his hands behind his back. I'll go to the field and dig up some vegetables for dinner. Xiao Zhan was silent for a while. I'm going to get a bull conch to go with wine. Otherwise, it will be a disaster for that starfish. Xia Xiaochan wondered, Ms. Wenren, why can't I do it? Wenren was speechless. You are more talented than Han Fei. However, I'm afraid that Han Fei and Lu Renquang are the most suitable for this combat skill. Lu Renquang's body stiffened and he thought, what does it have to do with me? I haven't mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique yet, so I can only hook a dozen meters away. I can't compete with these two freaks. Han Fei was full of curiosity. He used a void-breaking technique, but how did Xia Xiaochan do it? Besides, she could cut more than 2,000 meters away with a single slash. Who the F***CK can withstand that? It's a must-have sneak attack skill. Wenrinyu didn't want to talk more with Han Fei and just said lightly, Don't pursue these skills too much. Don't forget, what did you want to do in the beginning? Han Fei, did you only plan to practice knives from the beginning? Han Fei shook his head. Wasn't it fun to practice knives? He said he was going to study arrays, but he forgot. As a result, Master Hexagon Starfish had been comfortable in the Bull Conch pit for almost a month. Wenrinyu said, However, you don't have time for the time being. Take a break for 2 days and prepare to go to the Wind Thunder Town for a vacation. To play a game. Everyone, the author said, I've thought about it. Let's see if I can add more chapters on the 24th and 25th. Now my speed is not slow. I've been playing games every day, so I need at least 2 days to integrate it. By the way, when I add more chapters, I'll ask for monthly votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 562. There were 36 towns under the 1,000-star city. Among them, the status of the Wind Thunder Town was the same as that of the Heavenly Heart Village in the Blue Sea Town. It ranked the top among all the towns and had the strongest comprehensive strength. This could be seen from one place, that was the teleportation arrays. The Wind Thunder Town had teleportation arrays to the other 35 towns, but the other towns only had teleportation arrays to the level 3 fishery in the Wind Thunder Town. Even in the more developed towns, there were generally no more than 5 teleportation arrays. Xiao Zhan was introducing the towns to Han Fei and the others. Xiao Zhan said, This time, our opponent is actually only the Wind Thunder Town, provided that you try not to use secret methods and ultra-quality spiritual weapons. If possible, don't use your spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Old Bai coughed, but you have to show the prestige of our Thug Academy. If it's necessary, it's not impossible to use it. It's up to you. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Okay. Xia Xiaochan asked. Are the other towns relatively weak? Xiao Zhan said, of course not. There might be powerful characters in every town, but that was only relative. For example, Li Hani. That kid is not bad. However, if he is in a 1,000-star city, he is actually much weaker. Even the cloud-soaring town, the weakest of the 36 towns, has produced heavenly talents. When he heard the name Cloud-Soaring Town, Han Fei suddenly realized that Lin Miao Miao was from the Cloud-Soaring Town. He thought that the Cloud-Soaring Town should be very strong. After all, when he arrived at the level 3 fishery, Lin Miao Miao seemed to have stayed there for a long time. Han Fei couldn't help asking, Teacher, you said that the Cloud-Soaring Town is the weakest of all the towns? Xiao Zhan nodded. Yes, the Cloud-Soaring Town has been lacking talents in the past 100 years. The main reason is that the position of the mayor of the Cloud-Soaring Town has been vacant for decades, so the Cloud-Soaring Town can't compete with other towns. Zhang Xuanyu said, If the mayor is gone, why don't we just find someone else to be the mayor? Old Bai slapped Zhang Xuanyu on the head. Do you think anyone can be the mayor? First, the mayor must be a hidden fisher. Second, he must be from the town to be the mayor. Third, those who could be the mayor must have come from the unknown place. Of course, he shouldn't be too strong either. Otherwise, he might disdain the position of mayor. Han Fei asked in surprise, Isn't it said that you can't come back after you go to the unknown place? Old Bai was speechless. Do you really think they all died there? However, there would always be people who would fall. Either this person wasn't qualified, or the deadline wasn't up and he couldn't come back. Cloud-Soaring Town only had a new mayor in the past few decades, but he seems to be a cripple. Lu Rinquang glanced at Old Bai. President, we can't look down on the disabled. Ha! Old Bai said angrily. Do I need you to teach me? There were still not many people on the teleportation island, but there were quite a few people outside the island who were sending them off. Most of them just hoped that the contestants would win. As long as they could win, the Blue Sea Town would have more resources and more popularity in the next year. Only a small number of people had a look of reluctance on their faces. Most of these people were the parents of students from the other 3 academies who were participating in the competition. They weren't worried about the result of the competition. What they were really worried about was that after this competition, in less than half a year, their children would go to a place they didn't know at all. The unknown place was a secret for most people. No matter how advanced the intelligence of the Blue Sea Town was, ordinary people had no right to know anything about the unknown place. Including the children of the big clans in the 1,000-star city, they actually didn't know anything about the unknown place before they went there. At most, they could only make a guess. But they didn't know anything about that place at all. When the Thug Academy arrived, the crowd burst into cheers. Han Fei, come on. Beat them. Xia Xiaochan, show your usual violence. The rise of the Thug Academy is only one step away from you. Brother you must be the champion of the 36 towns this time. Goddess Luo, don't fall in love with other handsome boys outside. As representatives, Han Fei and the others fought for the interests of the town, so no one would be stingy with their praise and encouragement. However, as they shouted, the atmosphere changed. Han Fei said to the crowd, Does anyone want to sponsor us? When we come back, we can bring you some specialties. The sponsorship starts at 1,000 mid-quality pearls. If you want them, go to the fish dragons and pay the money. Then you can choose from them. Old Bai and the others were taken aback. Is that okay? The people who saw them off were speechless. Is that okay? However, someone immediately shouted, Then when you bring them back, we will buy them. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, When I bring them back, are you sure you can still get them? At that time, the gifts will be randomly distributed and the prices will vary. Who knows? Maybe your current investment will be worth it. 1,000 mid-quality pearls. I'll compromise again. Just 998 will do. You can't be fooled with 998. Hurry up and sign up. However, in the crowd, a large number of people rolled their eyes at Han Fei. Someone complained, He must be crazy about money. 998 mid-quality spiritual pearls. I can't afford it even if I invest all my wealth. Zhang Xuanyu said, Fei Fei, Maybe the price is a bit high. This is not the level 3 fishery. Han Fei was stunned. Really? I thought people were very rich now. But Han Fei shouted again, ha ha, I was just teasing you just now. In fact, don't give me 998, don't give me 888, just 98. You can't be fooled or suffer a loss. Sign up now, and you can enjoy a mysterious gift. 100 low-quality spiritual weapons will be randomly distributed. For every 100,000 people who sign up, 100 low-quality spiritual weapons will be given away. What are you waiting for? Wow, someone exclaimed. Really? Fake? Someone didn't believe it. How can you give away spiritual weapons like this? Han Fei patted his chest and said, I, Han Fei, am honest. Where's the fish dragons? In the crowd, more than a dozen people came out at once. Yes, leader, we are here. Leader, we are at your command. Leader, please give us your orders. Han Fei said, remember to keep accounts and remember to advertise. You won't let me down, will you? I promise I will not fail you. As you command, leader. Seeing that Han Fei had made up his mind, someone sighed. 98 mid-quality pearls doesn't seem to be too much. We can give it a try. Someone nodded. It doesn't seem to be a loss. I can afford 98 mid-quality pearls. I wonder what he will bring back. By the way, is he going on a trip? Hey, little brother of the fish dragons, come on, sign my name first. Someone had an idea. The registration hasn't started yet. If I'm the first, maybe I can get a low-quality spiritual weapon. No one thought that Han Fei was cheating. After all, the fish dragons were now a new big family in the Blue Sea town. Every day, there was an existence that entered the Golden Dipper. If it was only 100 low-quality spiritual weapons, the fish dragons could definitely afford it. The members of the fish dragons were suddenly overwhelmed by the crowd. Little brother, come on, I told you first. Sign up for me first. Brother, first come, first served. Don't compete with me. I'm number 1, so I'm the first one. Old Bai and the others were stunned. Luren Kwong pulled Han Fei and said, is this okay? In the Blue Sea town, 100 low-quality spiritual weapons are definitely not cheap. They can easily cost hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls. Xiao Xiaochan bared her teeth and smiled. I have a lot here. More than 100. I have 1,000. Old Bai touched his beard. It seems that we can do it. Luren Kwong was puzzled. Only 98 mid-quality spiritual fruits can be exchanged for spiritual weapons? Why don't we just sell them? Han Fei rolled his eyes at him. How many people in the town have you seen who will spend hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls to buy spiritual weapons? Our purpose is not to sell them directly, but to exchange those garbage, low-quality spiritual weapons for money. Wow. Zhang Xuanyu took a breath. That's so cruel. Old Bai smacked his lips and thought to himself, if this kid goes to do business, he will definitely make a fortune. Han Fei asked, President, you are so strong. Why don't you make some money by selling some things? Why is our school so poor? Xiao Zhan smiled. You will understand in the future. Everyone, in front of the teleportation array, there were as many as 500 people, including those excellent children who went to gain experience. All the heavenly talents of the Blue Sea town were here. This exchange match was jointly led by the mayor and the 4 presidents. The mayor shouted, let's go. The team of 500 people lined up one after another and stepped into the teleportation array in order. Han Fei nudged Xiao Zhan and said, Teacher, why don't Ms. Wenrun, Chu Jinan, and Ling Yuan go? Aren't they all bringing their disciples to satisfy their cravings? A smile appeared on Xiao Zhan's lips. They will go, but not now. In these 2 days, they have their own things to deal with. Let's go. It's time to take you to the so-called strongest town. First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 563. When Han Fei and the others arrived at the Wind Thunder Town, they appeared directly on a huge indoor teleportation square. Under their feet was a blue stone carved with fish grass patterns, and the surroundings were densely packed with people. The style of these people's clothes was a little different, but not much different. It didn't seem that there was anything particularly exotic about them. When Han Fei and the others appeared, they just attracted a strange look, but no one made any sound of surprise. Especially the last 5 people who appeared, because only Luo Xiaobai was a peak-level dangling fisher, they didn't arouse any curiosity. Because not all the students who came to participate in the exchange competition had practiced in the level 3 fishery, many people actually hadn't seen Han Fei. At this moment, Old Bai and the three presidents occupied an area of hundreds of meters on the square, and the three presidents were greeting the students who walked out of the teleportation array to follow the team. Han Fei and the others didn't follow the so-called formation at all. They walked through the crowd like leaders and came to Old Bai's side. On the square, there were shouts everywhere. These people were all wearing plain gauze clothes, and they were all peak-level dangling fishers, and they were all very young. Even a fool would know that the Wind Thunder Town had made sufficient preparations to welcome the arrival of the other towns. The gathering of peak-level dangling fishers was neither too grand nor too shabby, and it could also show the strength of the town. These youths all wore smiles on their faces, without the slightest hint of other emotions, as if they were very hospitable. Someone shouted, "Fiery Dragon Town! Is the mayor of the Fiery Dragon Town here? Everyone from the Red Moon Town, please come with me. Million Gold Town students, please gather quickly. The presidents of the Divine Billow Town, please restrain your students. Triumph Town, Sea Source Town." Noises, questions, and calls to gather people rang out incessantly. Soon, a peak-level dangling fisher came to the Blue Sea Town. "Nice to meet you, mayor of the Blue Sea Town." The mayor nodded slightly. "Okay, where's my town arranged?" The newcomer straightened his back, clasped his fists, and said, "Sir, the Blue Sea Town has been arranged to stay in the Tree Core City on the 8th island of the Wind Thunder Town. If the disciples of your town have gathered, please come with me." The mayor nodded slightly. "Okay, let's go." Groups of phalanxes were led in all directions. The students were filled with curiosity and only wanted to rush outside to take a look. How extraordinary was the Wind Thunder Town, which ranked first among the 36 towns. Exactly? Old Bai and Xiao Zhan naturally walked with the three presidents. The five of them followed closely behind, unlike the other students of the three academies who had lined up in a long line. Xia Xiaochan asked curiously, "Are there 8 islands in this town?" The peak-level dangling fisher said with a smile, "Our Wind Thunder Town consists of 9 floating islands. We are now on the central island. The other 8 islands were also quite unique. The Tree Core City you are going to is a floating island completely covered by a forest. It has a circumference of 196 miles, with high mountains and flowing rivers above and underground caves below. It can be said that the busiest place here is the Tree Core City." Hearing this person's explanation, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Are the other 8 islands as big as this one?" The peak-level dangling fisher smiled and said, "No, the 8th island ranks 8th and is the smallest one. The first island is almost twice the size of the 8th island." Hiss! Han Fei couldn't help taking a breath. Isn't this 2F** king big? Even if this was the first town, its area was too vast, much larger than the Blue Sea Town. Han Fei once suspected that even the Thousand-Star City was probably only this big. But now it seemed that he was really ignorant. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Mayor, why don't the Blue Sea Town capture a few floating islands?" The mayor staggered and thought to himself, "Are you **king kidding me? Do you think I'm a sea god just because you say so?" The mayor looked back at Han Fei. "When you grow up in the future, you can capture an island and merge it with our town. Then our town will also be very big." Han Fei grinned. "What's wrong with me? I'm not the mayor." Old Bai said leisurely, "You're just a bunch of little fish that have never seen the world. This is not big at all. It's only 1,000 miles. Why are you so surprised?" The peak-level dangling fisher who led the way smiled. "I'll just listen to your bragging. A mere 1,000-li traversal? Why don't you try to capture one from the Blue Sea Town?" Luo Xiaobai continued, "It's indeed not big. If it's expanded 10 times, it'll barely be qualified to become a city." The mayor and the 3 presidents all looked at Luo Xiaobai. This little girl's tone was simply too arrogant. "Have you ever been to the city? Do you know how big a city is?" With that, they walked out of this palace-like indoor teleportation square. As soon as they went out, they saw three huge mountains towering into the sky. The mountains were shrouded in clouds and mist, and they couldn't see the top at all. Someone from the three academies exclaimed, "What a high mountain! Wow, this mountain is so high, so spectacular." The presidents of the three academies turned around and glared at them as if saying, "Don't be so king cowards. You're so shocked by a mountain. Are you ashamed?" The peak-level dangling fisher blushed, full of pride. He was very satisfied with the reaction of these students. Only Lu Renquang muttered, "What's the big deal? Our school has two mountains, and we climb them every day." That's right, that's right." Xiao Zhan's face was a little red. "The mountain in our school is less than 2,000 meters high. This mountain is as high as 8,000 meters. The peak-level dangling fisher asked curiously, "Does your town also have mountains?" Han Fei patted the man on the shoulder and said, "You're too ignorant. You don't even know that our Blue Sea town has two divine mountains? Young man, you should learn geography well." The man? Everyone looked at Han Fei. Even the mayor looked at Han Fei, wondering, how can our town have divine mountains? Han Fei bragged. It said that in ancient times, a sky-reaching king accidentally came to our Blue Sea town. He marveled at the beauty of our Blue Sea town and praised our Blue Sea and Yangtze River as pure as glass. He landed in the Blue Sea town. Every time he took a step, the scenery changed, which was marvelous. He cultivated in the plantation in our town, thirsty for morning dew and hungry for spiritual fruits. Looking up, the clouds and mist faintly formed peaks. He sighed. This town must have a mountain. So 2,000-meter-tall, golden-armored soldiers, carrying two mountains on their backs, came in the sky. They were named Tai, Ah, and Wang Wu. Thud! Some of the students from the other three academies felt their legs give way and fell to the ground. Damn it! I've never seen anyone who can brag so much in my life. Li Hani turned his face away. Xiang Zuizui secretly spat. Only he Xiao Yu, who was at the back, said stupidly, "Is there such a legend in our Blue Sea town?" Xiao Wushuang hurriedly raised a finger. "Hush!" Xiao Zhan and Old Bai were stunned. Damn it! How can those two small mountains be so bragging? The three presidents slightly moved aside, not wanting to walk with these idiots from the Thug Academy. The mayor opened his mouth and subconsciously quickened his pace. As for the peak-level dangling fisher from the Wind Thunder Town, he was dumbfounded. He didn't feel that Han Fei was bragging at all. Look at the pride on Han Fei's face. It's almost as if it was carved with a knife. Zhang Xuanyu quickly echoed, "Fei Fei, what did the teacher teach us? When we go out, we must keep a low profile." Lu Renquang quickly added, "Yes, to avoid being coveted by others." Xia Xiaochan and Luo Xiaobai held hands, and each took out two pieces of jewelry. Xia Xiaochan asked, "Xiaobai, what do you think of my bell?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "It's exquisite." The peak-level dangling fisher asked, "Is it really so amazing?" Han Fei quickly coughed and said, "Ahem, you didn't hear anything. I didn't say anything. My biggest problem is that I can't control my mouth. I'm too honest. Alas, brother, don't tell others. I won't tell ordinary people." The peak-level dangling fisher nodded. He couldn't help but wonder if there were any legends about the three mountains of his town. No, after sending them back, he had to check the information. Old Bai said, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up. Are you here to chat?" Han Fei nodded. Oh. The peak-level dangling fisher came back to his senses and quickly apologized. "Sorry, everyone, please follow me. We will fly the fishing boat from kilometer away." Huh, brother, can fishing boats be taken in your town? Second update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 564. The students of the other towns had already taken out their fishing boats and were quickly taking off. For a time, the sky was full of fishing boats. However, there were also thousands of fishing boats patrolling back and forth in the high sky. Han Fei perceived that there seemed to be threats above, and there were probably strong masters beyond the realm of dangling fishers. When they walked out of the teleportation hall and looked back, the building was like a huge oval pancake, a bit like a bird's nest. Of course, wasn't that beautiful? But no matter what kind of building it was, as long as it was big enough, it was enough to scare people. Xiao Zhan said, "There is a barrier within a kilometer of this place." The peak-level dangling fisher quickly said, "Yes, because there are a lot of people coming and going in our Wind Thunder Town every day. We set up a barrier. It's mainly to avoid some dangerous people." The mayor and the principals looked back and said, "You go ahead. We still have something to discuss. Remember, don't make trouble." When they were all gone, the peak-level dangling fisher said, "Everyone, you can take out your fishing boats and take off. Please follow me and slow down the fishing boats as much as possible. Don't go too fast." Lu Rinquang muttered, "Why do we have to slow down? Let's go. Is there any delicious food in your tree core city?" The peak-level dangling fisher said, "Mainly in the town. We can't go too fast, or the sky will be full of streamers. This is very inconvenient for the patrol." Now, the teachers of the major academies were leading the teams here. There were only 6 people on Han Fei's team, so they only needed 1 fishing boat. The moment the Ghost Speed Divine Boat was taken out, the peak-level dangling fisher almost peed his pants. He exclaimed, "Ghost Speed Divine Boat?" Hearing the exclamation of the peak-level dangling fisher, many people looked at the boat. Some looked indifferent, some were surprised, and some were stunned. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, "Han Fei. That's Han Fei." "What? Where? Where is Han Fei? Oh my God, that's Xia Xiaochan. Damn, the Thug Academy. The 5 people of the Thug Academy are all here. Did they come back from the level 3 fishery?" Originally, the crowd was quite noisy, so no one paid attention to them at all. However, the moment the Ghost Speed Divine Boat appeared, many people's first thought was, isn't the Ghost Speed Divine Boat exclusive to the children of the big clans in the Thousand Star City? Many people had actually been to the level 3 fishery, and only a few hadn't heard of the Ghost Speed Divine Boat. But there were only a dozen Ghost Speed Divine Boats in the level 3 fishery. It could be seen how much impact a Ghost Speed Divine Boat had on these people. The people of the 3 academies of the Blue Sea Town, on the other hand, were not happy. They already knew about this matter. This time, a lot of people actually held the attitude of being bystanders. After all 5 members of the Thug Legend were here. Looking at the entire 36 towns, they didn't believe that there were few people comparable to them. Behind them, Xiaoyu pulled Zhongyu, who was ranked in the top 10, and asked, "What is a Ghost Speed Divine Boat? Was it very powerful? Why does everyone look so surprised?" Zhongyu glanced at the Ghost Speed Divine Boat and sighed. "This is the best fishing boat in the level 3 fishery. It can travel up to 50,000 kilometers a day. You'll know when you go to the level 3 fishery." "How much?" Xiao Wushuang was dumbfounded. "A fishing boat that can travel 50,000 kilometers a day? Are they crazy?" Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and looked at Han Fei's back on the Ghost Speed Divine Boat, feeling very stressed. Han Fei is getting stronger and stronger now. What should I do? In the sky, everyone really felt what prosperity was. In their field of vision, there were large buildings, including towers towering 100 meters high, water storage towers with a diameter of 1,000 meters, super large open-air arenas, and spiritual beast-feeding gardens. If the dozens of kilometers around the Blue Sea Arena in the Blue Sea Town was the CBD center of the Blue Sea Town, then it was no exaggeration to say that the CBD of the Wind Thunder Town was 10 times larger. Because the flying height of the fishing boat was limited to less than 500 meters, everyone could only vaguely see that there were 8 floating islands standing around the central island. Some were higher than the central island, and some were lower than the central island. Suddenly, Han Fei saw a large bird in his field of vision, stretching its head and flying over their heads. Data appeared in his eyes. Name Peace Loon. Introduction: a large bird that lives on the cliff. Its wingspan can reach 3 meters. It's extremely fast and flies between the ocean and the cliff. Its wings can break gold and stone, and its beak is as sharp as a spear. It can hunt ordinary marine creatures below level 30. Level 33, quality, regular, contains spiritual energy greater than 1,912 points, edible effect, inedible, collectible, none, absorbable, alone? Han Fei was stunned. He didn't expect that the first time he saw a bird here was in the Wind Thunder Town. But if there were birds in the Wind Thunder Town, why didn't there be any in the Blue Sea Town? Sure enough, many people exclaimed when they saw the peace loon in the sky. Look, what kind of creature is that? It can fly. Oh, see God, is this a legendary creature? The patterns on its body are so beautiful. Is it a spiritual beast? The peak-level dangling fisher who led the crowd smiled and thought to himself, I like to see you guys acting like you've never seen the world. It's so comfortable. Xia Xiaochan also grabbed Han Fei's arm and shouted, Look, look, what kind of monster is that? It's not even a hidden fisher and seems to be weaker than us, but it can fly. Lu Renquang exclaimed, Wow, this kind of creature is amazing. I wonder if it's delicious. Puff! The fishing boat of the person in the front shook. What the hell are these people? You've been amazed for a long time, and now you're asking if it's delicious? Han Fei said with a black face, Shut up, you guys. That's just an ordinary bird. Huh? The person on the fishing boat in the front suddenly turned around. How do you know it's a bird? Xiao Xiaochan also looked at Han Fei in a daze. How do you know it's a bird? Xiaozhan also looked at Han Fei curiously. How did he know about birds? Han Fei said, Someone once told me about this kind of creature. According to the way this bird flies, it will stretch its head straight and lower than its body, which makes it look a little hunchbacked. Therefore, this kind of bird must be a loon. Of course, this is too esoteric for you. However, when it came to creatures like birds, even if there were only level 1 birds in this world, they could still fly even if they had no combat power. It's just like we humans have arms, fish have fins, and trees have branches. This is just a species difference. What's so surprising about it? Immediately, many girls from the 3 academies controlled their fishing boats and surrounded him. Han Fei, tell us about it. Why isn't there such a creature in our Blue Sea Town? Han Fei, tell us, what's the ability of this loon? Han Fei, who told you about it? Why didn't our teacher tell us about it? Han Fei looked disdainful. Sure enough, knowledge was power. He never thought that even a bird could attract so many exclamations. Suddenly, Han Fei felt a piercing, killing intent. Xia Xiaochan waved her dagger. If you don't want to fall from the sky, go away. Immediately, a girl said, Xia Xiaochan, don't go too far. Are you going to interfere in this? Xia Xiaochan stretched out her dagger. Are you leaving or not? Forced by Xia Xiaochan's ferocity, the group of girls grunted and walked away. The boys from the 3 academies were speechless. Are they from the Thug Academy? When did you become so familiar with them? After they left, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renquang, and Xia Xiaochan all grabbed Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Fei Fei, tell us, what is this bird? Xia Xiaochan asked, what is a loon? Even Luo Xiaobai said, I know this kind of creature. In fact, there are many of them in the Thousand-Star City, but I don't know much about their history and abilities. Xia Xiaochan was shocked. Xiaobai, you know it too? Han Fei smiled and said, This is a kind of creature that should live in a cold area. It gets its name because it can dive, swim, and hunt. However, this kind of bird is very stupid. Its cry is unpleasant, and it swings from side to side when it walks. However, the loons I know don't live on rocky cliffs and in such places. They should live near the water. With that said, Han Fei shouted, Brother, where did you get this loon? Seeing that he failed to scare Han Fei and the others, the peak-level dangling fisher in front of them could only shake his head lightly. You're embarrassing me. I can't tell you. Xiao Zhan sneered. Why can't I tell you? This kind of bird comes from the unknown place, but the one you saw just now is too weak. It's very likely that someone brought them back from the unknown place. Only after several or even dozens of times of reproduction could it be possible to cultivate such a good bird into such a weak one. Among the teachers of the other 3 academies, there were no hanging fishers at all. They had never been to the unknown place, so they could only shut up and quietly listen to Xiao Zhan. The boy in front of him smiled. Senior, you're awesome. Everyone was still amazed that they saw birds, but Han Fei was lost in thought. Birds exist in the unknown place. Also from Xiao Zhan, Han Fei learned that the birds in the unknown place seemed to be very strong. So Han Fei secretly asked, Teacher, our Thousand-Star City has existed for so long. Birds should have long been all over the floating islands. But why can't we see any of them? Xiao Zhan looked at Han Fei with a faint smile. Tell me first, how do you know about birds? Han Fei raised his head and was thinking about how to make up a story when he heard Xiao Zhan's voice transmission. If someone told you, you should have asked him long ago. If someone didn't tell you, how would you know? Han Fei rolled his eyes and replied, Old Jiang told me. There was one time when he was drunk and told me about it. When I asked him again, he didn't tell me. The third chapter, asking for votes. The author said, I'm paving the way to the world. Here comes the highlight, end of this chapter. Chapter 565. Xiao Zhan didn't ask much, and Han Fei didn't say much. However, Han Fei felt that there must be a reason why birds didn't appear on ordinary floating islands. It was as if no one in the town had ever used fishing nets. Was it true that no one had thought of making fishing nets? Not really. How could there be no fishing nets in a place that relied on fishing for a living? When the spirit-forbidden net appeared, Han Fei knew that there was a net in this world. However, he didn't know why it didn't appear on ordinary floating islands. When the fishing boat passed the central island, everyone saw a vast forest. The trees there were abnormally tall. Even a random tree would require multiple people to surround it. It was at least tens of meters tall. The closer to the center, the taller the trees were. Han Fei could see that at the very center, there seemed to be a super tree more than 100 meters tall that was surrounded by all the stars around it. And between the two floating islands, there were many thick chains. Some people were still walking on them, looking up at the sky from time to time. When the fishing boat flew over the forest, Han Fei perceived that these trees had holes dug out everywhere, and people were living in them. And Han Fei also discovered an amazing thing. He didn't know how the branches of these trees grew, but many of them grew horizontally, turning into roads for people to come and go. However, when Han Fei and the others were perceiving with their spiritual senses, a fishing boat flew over from the sky. Someone looked at Han Fei and the others and said, Distinguished guests from the Blue Sea Town, please don't perceive the lives of ordinary people with your spiritual senses. Although they can't perceive it, we can. Xiao Zhan nodded. Okay, withdraw your spiritual senses. The peak-level dangling fisher in front of him was taken aback. Spiritual senses? They were more than 500 meters from the top of the tree. Besides, there was still a distance of tens of meters from the top of the tree to the living area. Could Han Fei and the others perceive it? Including the other people from the 3 academies, they were all astonished. What? Their perception range exceeds 500 meters? Some people widened their eyes and talked to each other via voice transmission. Someone said, Do you think it's true? My perception range is only 5 meters, but their perception range is 500 meters? Someone was shocked. 500 meters, is this their limit? Why is their perception range so large? Even the great fishing masters who came to watch and learn were confused at this moment. Perception? What perception? The ordinary students of the 3 great academies still didn't know what perception was. Under normal circumstances, their teachers would only guide them when they became peak-level great fishing masters or even dangling fishers. When these students went to the level 3 fishery, it would be an important topic to explain and train. In fact, it was a waste of time. The real place to train perception was not even the level 3 fishery. But they were different. When they were still junior great fishing masters, they encountered the rock-holding turtle. When they were only intermediate dangling fishers, they had already mastered the perception ability. He kept eating the soul crystals of the level 3 fishery, so his perception range was naturally enormous. The peak-level dangling fisher leading the way thought to himself, the Thug Academy? The strength of these 5 people was probably unfathomable. There was only one peak-level dangling fisher, but their perception range actually exceeded his. Moreover, it wasn't just by a little bit. His current range of perception was only 300 meters. In the center of the 8th island, Tree Core City, everyone's fishing boat landed, and the team of nearly 500 people was in a formidable formation. Behind them, there seemed to be students from other towns also flying over. After landing, everyone realized just how tall the tree was. Luo Xiaobai gave the answer immediately. It's 990 meters high and nearly 150 meters wide. The interior is almost hollowed out. The peak-level dangling fissure smiled. This kind of thing couldn't be hidden from an excellent manipulator. He didn't say anything, but just politely extended his hand and said, "This is the best inn in the Tree Core City. Generally speaking, we will only arrange accommodation for merchants who come and go to the Wind Thunder Town, or for some people in other towns. For this match, the mayor has decided to vacate the Tree Core Inn and arrange accommodation for you." Han Fei and the others secretly praised him. What good attitude. He continued, "Everybody from the Blue Sea Town, because the Blue Sea Town ranks high among the 36 towns. We've specially given you the 200-meter area at the top of the town to live. Of course, students above the dangling fissure level must live there. Great fishing masters can go sightseeing up there, but you can only live in the ordinary tree houses nearby." Xiaozhan had no problem with that. Seeing that the presidents were not here, he said matter-of-factly, "The Thug Academy will take the top position." As for the teachers of the three academies, they were quite bummed. Xiaozhan's level was too much higher than theirs. They couldn't fight for it. Besides, they were the top 5 in the Blue Sea Town, so it was only natural that they lived on the top. Let's go up. There were stairs in the tree houses, but who could climb 900 meters of stairs? Therefore, although it seemed that the Blue Sea Town was given the best living environment, it was actually a test of everyone's strength. At this moment, many natives of the Tree Core City of the Wind Thunder Town were watching. At this moment, it was absolutely impossible to climb the stairs. Xiaozhan didn't even need to use his wings. He simply stepped on the air and flew up into the sky. Including the peak-level dangling fissure in front of him, many people gasped. "A hidden fissure?" Someone exclaimed. "The Blue Sea Town really deserves to be the 12th town. The leader is actually a hidden fissure. He's strong enough to be the mayor, isn't he?" Immediately afterward, Luo Xiaobai pointed her finger, and 5 vines hung down from the top of the tree. They grabbed the vines, only to see that the vines retracted automatically and went up like taking an elevator. The peak-level dangling fissure was a little disappointed that he couldn't see other people's abilities. However, the manipulator of the other party was very strong. He could summon vines without feeling any spiritual energy fluctuations at all. He was not weak. Behind him, other people also jumped up. Anyway, there were many tree trunks, so it wouldn't be indecent to jump up. Some manipulators followed Luo Xiaobai and took the elevator up. Unfortunately, their control range was not so far, and they could only reach half the height of the tree. Some went up with the wind-riding combat technique. Some asked others to throw them up, and some controlled weapons to send them up. The peak-level dangling fissure went up the same way as Luo Xiaobai by grabbing the vines. There seemed to be manipulators on the top, so he didn't expose his strength at all. When they went up to the top, Luo Xiaobai and the others were already in the house. This place was fully equipped, and as far as the eye could see, it was full of natural decorations. There was a fish grass pattern on the door, the window was half-hollowed, and the interior decoration was mainly arc-shaped. The bed was round, which was exactly like a F***King-themed suite. The 5 of them occupied the second floor from top to bottom. The problem was that there were only 5 of them, and they couldn't live in such a large place at all. How could there only be 5 rooms in a space of nearly 18,000 square meters? Even a presidential suite shouldn't be so big. Han Fei couldn't help asking, "Brother, this place is too big. If we can't live in it, can we let others live in it?" The peak-level dangling fissure smiled and said, "As long as you are willing, of course you can. However, during the exchange competition, this place is up to you." Xia Xiaochan asked, "Then why did you just say that the great fishing masters wouldn't let you come up?" The man smiled and said, "That's to reserve more living space for you, so that you can have the best experience. But if you have a place for a great fishing master, it's also possible." Suddenly, the man found that the other people of the Blue Sea Town all ran down to the first floor. He couldn't help but be taken aback. "Guys, the 5 of you are not with them." Han Fei smiled and said, "Of course not. We are not from the same academy." "Of course not." The man was stunned. "Wait, there are only 5 people in your school." The man was also stunned. "Are you F***King kidding me?" Other people come in hundreds, hundreds of people, but you only have 5 people. Han Fei put his arm around the man's neck and said, "Brother, it's none of your business how we live. Do you have any local specialties here? The cheap kind. 1 mid-quality pearl for 1. That would be the best." Well, why don't you go shopping first? There are quite a lot of places to sell things, all on the ground. If you can't find them, we have arranged 20 guides under the tree to show you around. Lu Renquang immediately said, "Why didn't you say so earlier? Fei, let's go down and have a look." Zhang Xuan, you said, "Let's go." I've been wanting to go down for a long time. It's boring to live in a tree house every day. Luo Xiaobai also nodded and said, "The environment here is very good. I also want to take a look." Han Fei immediately grinned and patted the man on the shoulder. "Brother, see you later. We'll go for a walk first. Go and greet the others." With that, the 5 of them jumped down from the tree with a swish like playful fish. The peak-level dangling fisher didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They didn't look like experts at all. Before the 5 of them landed, they found that many people gathered under the tree and seemed to be arguing. Someone shouted, "Who occupied your house in the cloud-soaring town? Anyway, you can't live on the next floor. What's wrong with us putting a few people in? Besides, your cloud-soaring town ranks last among the 36 towns. You shouldn't be living here in the first place." A woman in her 20s was suppressing her anger and arguing. "This is arranged by the mayor of the Wind Thunder Town. Are you questioning the mayor's arrangement?" Chapter 566. The teacher from Lingyun Town seemed to have a weak aura. Although she was also an advanced dangling fisher, her teacher was a peak-level dangling fisher. Besides, there were less than 100 dangling fishers in the cloud-soaring town, but nearly 300 great fishing masters had come. Seeing this scene, Han Fei already understood. The cloud-soaring town was weak, so it sent so many great fishing masters here just to let them learn from others by watching the battle. While still flying in the sky, Han Fei suddenly pushed Lu Renquang aside. Lu Renquang. Below, the 2 sides were still arguing. Suddenly, they looked up. A peak-level dangling fisher teacher hurriedly stepped aside. "Is this guy trying to kill me?" Bang! Lu Renquang landed and said innocently, Fei, why did you push me?" Han Fei asked, "Did I?" Lu Renquang was speechless. "Don't you know whether I pushed you or not?" Before Lu Renquang spoke, the teacher shouted, "Whose student is this? Don't you see there are people down there?" Han Fei put his arm around Lu Renquang's shoulder, glanced at the teacher, and then looked at the people of the Wind Thunder Town who led the way. "Which town is this? Why are your words so harsh?" The guide couldn't help but be slightly stunned, thinking, is this deliberate? However, they were only guides. If the conditions allowed, they were more willing to see conflicts between towns. If they could fight, that would be the best. When it was time to stop them, they would stop them. That way, it would be easier to see the strength of these towns. Another reason was that Cloud-Soaring Town was too weak and ranked at the bottom of the list. The people of the Wind Thunder Town despised them deep down. Before the guide could speak, the teacher said, "I'm a teacher from Fiery Dragon Town's First Academy. Where's your teacher? Let him come out and speak. I want to see whose student is so arrogant." Pucci. Xiao Xiaochan couldn't help but laugh. "You sure talk big." Although Zhang Xuanyu didn't know why Han Fei interfered, he had to take care of it himself. Immediately, he curled up the corners of his mouth and said, "You, a peak-level dangling fisher, is standing opposite my teacher? I'm afraid he wouldn't even dare to fart." Han Fei said with a smile, TSK, did you hear that? Incisive." Lu Renquang also said frankly, "You're too weak. You can't do it." As for the people from the Cloud-Soaring Town, they didn't know what to say. The female teacher even thought that they didn't do it on purpose and just got involved accidentally. On the other hand, the students from Cloud-Soaring Town expressed their relief. "Humph, the Flame Dragon Town's ranking isn't that high. Why are you so arrogant?" "That's right, they're going too far. What right do they have to occupy our room? It's too much to let a great fishing master live on the same floor as us dangling fishers. Doesn't the Wind Thunder Town care about this?" The guide from the Wind Thunder Town said, "Of course we will. However, there might be more rooms in Gue Town. Logically speaking, we can't completely reject the Fiery Dragon Town's request. We've already sent someone to inquire about it. The guide of the Wind Thunder Town said sincerely with a gentle expression. No one would be able to find fault in his words. The guide said, Ms. Ling Ling, do you want to wait for a while? The guide from the Fiery Dragon Town also said, Master Xuanan, please don't ruin our friendship. Everyone here is a guest. Why don't we wait for a while? Han Fei frowned. Why should I wait? As a mayor, his words were like water that had been released and couldn't be taken back. If he said he would give the cloud-soaring town a large place to live, he wouldn't give them any discount. What kind of guide was this? He was just stalling for time. Did they want to continue to cause a fight? Han Fei smiled. Phew, it seems that the mayor of the Wind Thunder Town doesn't mean anything. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Logically speaking, the Fiery Dragon Town shouldn't occupy the rooms of the cloud-soaring town. Xuanan from the Fiery Dragon Town sneered. We won't know until later. However, I don't care about this matter now. But you little fish, which town are you from? Han Fei sneered. The Blue Sea Town. What do you think? Immediately, a student from the Fiery Dragon Town sneered. The Blue Sea Town ranks 12th. Are you so arrogant? Although our Fiery Dragon Town only ranks 18th, we're better than you, right? Exactly. Among the 5 of them, only one is a peak-level dangling fisher, and the other 4 are advanced dangling fishers. Is this the big town that ranks 12th? Someone sneered. Who knows, after this exchange competition, he might drop to 22nd place. Ha ha! Students were the most impulsive creatures. They were in the prime of their youth, and usually didn't care about right or wrong in order to protect their own interests and reputation. As long as they were not from their own school, they would usually regard them as enemies. Xia Xiaochan was hot-tempered, and she was born with this kind of temper. She even stabbed Han Fei. How could she be an exception to these people? Swish! Oh! In a flash, Xia Xiaochan appeared among the opposing team of students and stabbed 2 people. Before the other party realized what was going on, she had flashed back. Xuanan was shocked. B** starred. How dare you lay a finger on a student of the Fiery Dragon Town? As he spoke, Xuanan had already grabbed Xia Xiaochan despite the dissuasion of the guide of the Wind Thunder Town. Bam! A golden fist mark flashed by and blew Xuanan dozens of meters away. After he steadied himself in embarrassment, Xuanan was shocked. Was it the young man who attacked just now? How could an advanced dangling fisher be so strong? The guides of the Wind Thunder Town who were going to dissuade him all shut up after seeing this scene. At this moment, they were staring at Han Fei with bright eyes. The punch just now was too fast. They saw a golden flash, and the leading teacher of the Fiery Dragon Town was sent flying. Are you telling me that this is the strength of an advanced dangling fisher? Han Fei sneered. Now, do you think the Blue Sea Town is qualified? In front of the Fiery Dragon Town's team, several other teachers stood out. Someone scolded, Boy, how dare you? Someone said angrily, The Blue Sea Town is really arrogant. Ling Ling from the cloud-soaring town slightly changed her face, shocked by Han Fei's strength, but then she said telepathically, Student, the people of the Fiery Dragon Town are all warriors. Be careful. Han Fei smiled and tilted his head to look at the people of the Fiery Dragon Town. As a teacher, you should act like a teacher. Do you think it's reasonable for you to bully a friendly town? Xuanan rose, shook his arms, and looked at Han Fei coldly. As the leading teacher, he was the leader of the team when the mayor and the principal were not here. Now that they had lost face, they couldn't let it go. The reason why they had a dispute with the cloud-soaring town was just a matter of face. Immediately, the man bellowed, and the illusion of a long-necked turtle suddenly burst out. Spirit, turtle, water, shocking palm. Han Fei was instantly amused. He found it hilarious that the people of the Fiery Dragon Town thought that they had performed an awesome combat skill. Han Fei only felt that the people of the Fiery Dragon Town were really reckless. Han Fei immediately took out a twig and waved it casually, and a knife light swept straight at the big black palm. Look at my turtle-suppressing demon knife. Xia Xiaochan and the others. Luren Kwong tilted his head and glanced at Han Fei. What knife? Pucci. The big palm was cut apart by Han Fei's knife. The knife continued moving forward. At this moment, Xuanan finally realized Han Fei's power. Horrified, he hurriedly protected himself with the black turtle shield. Clang! Xuanan fell to the ground on his back. Although he was not injured, one of his hands was already stiff and slightly trembling. Hiss! The hundreds of students watching all looked surprised. Isn't this 2F** King awesome? Many students of the fiery dragon town were dumbfounded. Is this really a student of the Blue Sea town? Isn't he a bit too strong? Especially on the cloud-soaring town's side. Many people were dumbfounded. This is a peak-level dangling fisher. He can't even resist one attack from a student of the Blue Sea town. Isn't this a bit too scary? Many people had looks of envy in their eyes. How great would it be if they were so strong? Ling Ling's pupils constricted. Is the Blue Sea town already so strong? It shouldn't be. With such strength, even in the Wind Thunder town, he must be an expert. The two guides of the Wind Thunder town looked at each other with surprise in their eyes. They had thought that the students of the Blue Sea town could only be regarded as mediocre. But Han Fei had refreshed their cognition. He could fight someone of a higher level with just one attack. What kind of monster was he? At this moment, the guide of the Blue Sea town seemed to find that there was a dispute down below. At this moment, he was coming down from the tree, and he almost fell off the tree after seeing this scene. So strong. What's going on? After the guide of the Blue Sea town came down, he asked the other two with a cold face. Nice to meet you, Senior Brother Pan. After receiving the two's voice transmissions, Pan Yi's face changed slightly, and then he turned to Ling Ling and said, I'm sorry, everyone. My junior brother has just graduated from school and doesn't know how to judge many things. Please excuse me. Ling Ling finally looked better and said with a smile, I have to thank the students of the Blue Sea town for their help. Otherwise, I'm afraid things would have gotten out of hand. Panny nodded and then looked at Xuanan. Mr. Xue, the mayor has already set the living standards. Please abide by them. Otherwise, if things get out of hand, it will be embarrassing for everyone. Xuanan glared at Han Fei and then shouted to the people of the fiery dragon town. Let's go. Second update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter.